Welcome one, welcome all. It is time for NCAA college football as the visiting Blue Jays of Elmhurst University come to Carthage to take on the home Firebirds. Hello everybody, alongside my broadcast colleague this afternoon, Tylor Sorensen, I'm Peter Ferreri. We're excited for an outstanding day of college football. Both teams looking to get really moving on the winning ways today, Tylor. And looking at where things have gone so far, should be an easier contest for Carthage, but we can't put anything past Elmhurst right now. So talk to me through the overall optics of today's game.
Yeah, the overall optics of today's game, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be very, very defensive heavy, as we see Elmhurst has 3 of the top 8 total tacklers in the CCIW conference, whereas Carthage has number 1 with Chris DeVito with 31 total tackles. It's going to be in the trenches as well. Elmhurst has given up 9 sacks with 36 yards, whereas Carthage has given up 0 total this entire season. It's going to be a tough defensive battle, especially as we saw last week versus Washington University or Washington.
Looking at those tackle leaders, Chris DeVito, 31 tackles, 22 solo, but the other 3 players, Wes Gable and Carrillo, all doing a great job defensively.
Yeah, they are, and it helps, especially when you have a brand new coach that Elmhurst does, having 3 of the top 8 tacklers in your conference. It helps a lot, even though the offense hasn't really been there for Elmhurst this year.
Looking at a recent contest, Washington University wasn't quite the outcome that the Firebirds wanted. Talk us through your thoughts on that outcome and how things could change today.
The biggest thing just needs to be that offense. You got to get that gear running. As you see, Bryce Frank, 10 attempts, 38 yards. You got to hope he can get more than 3.8 yards a carry, as well as the entirety of the Carthage offense. They had a total of 235 yards of total offense. Bryce Lowe, 27 of 45, 162 yards. They got to find the ball in the end zone, especially if Arjun Ishmaeli is your star wide receiver of that game. He's shifty. He can get in that end zone. You just got to get it to him.
Looking as well, new coaching staff over at Elmhurst, and that, of course, is going to be led by new head coach Mike Murray. Talk to me through what it's like having a new head coach. But we'll get to that in a second. But also last week, North Central 59-6 over Elmhurst. It was domination for North Central, as they have had all season.
Yeah, as they have all said. And you see it, the running game, too. 7 attempts, 80 yards, 3 touchdowns for Joe Sacco. It's going to be electric, especially this week, trying to get that running game going. Something that I like to say you need to do. You got to have that early down situation. If you can get that if you can get within 5 yards, that first rush, it's always going to helpful, especially if you're able to get that defense going with that pick and everything like that.
Now going back to the topic as previously mentioned, head coach Mike Murray. Tylor, being a player, being a coach yourself, what's it like having that, that level of freshness to the program itself, but still knowing, hey, we got a game to play?
Yeah, it's going to be rough, especially having a year where you're 1-2 so far, 0-2 in the conference. You got to try to build your system from the ground up, and that's exactly what Mike Murray's trying to do. He's trying to build Elmhurst from the ground up, make sure he can put in his own system. And so far, yes, you only have 1 win, but hey, that 1 win, it came week 1. It came early in the season, so now you can put your hat on that and be like, hey, we have a winning we can win games here. Now we just got to go out and execute each and every week.
Talking now through some of the keys of the game is brought to you here on the Firebird Broadcasting Network, and it all starts, as you would like to say as a former lineman yourself, it starts in the trenches.
Yes, it does. It starts in the trenches. Elmhurst so far this season has given up 9 sacks, something that is one of the worst so far in the CCIW, whereas Carthage is the exact opposite. They have given up 0 sacks, first overall in the CCIW, something that they think they like to hang their hat on, and especially with a complete tandement of quarterbacks that they use each and every game.
Speaking of that quarterback rotation, I had a conversation to talk to Coach Haas this week, and I mentioned that very thing. I said, Coach, Tylor and I weren't necessarily ready to see that rotation. You had so many players get under center, get in shotgun. Talk me through that, and you can expound on it, Tylor, but ultimately he said, look, when we are in the huddle and we break huddle and the defense sees 2-3 quarterbacks lining up, we really want to keep them on their toes.
Yeah, and it's rough, especially as a defense going out there seeing 4 different quarterbacks coming that hey, they can throw the ball, they can run it, they're athletic. It's going to be rough for that defense because now you have to prepare for that different sort of trickery that maybe they're running a jet sweep pass, maybe they're doing something different, or maybe they're just running it down your throats. Who knows what they're going to do? It takes a lot more preparation out from the week that be like, hey, they can do all this different things with these 5 different quarterbacks.
It's homecoming day here at beautiful Art Keller Field on the lakefront. Carthage about to take on the visiting Blue Jays of Elmhurst. But one thing that's kind of plagued both teams, but really hurt Carthage recently as well, is that turnover battle. And I know it's cliche to say, okay, well, whoever has less turnovers is going to win. But how can you focus on making sure? Because I even had that conversation with Coach Haas. He's like, I am fully aware of how we turned over. That first game against Albion, when we were both here, how many times, about to score, about to tie it, and it's an interception in the end zone, or it's a fumble on special teams, whatever it may be.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. That's just one thing you got to keep your eye on and keep working on, especially with the running back game, especially with forced fumbles. Got to keep that ball high and tight and keep that ball out of the enemy's hands.
All right, we're going to take a quick timeout for the national anthem. When we come back, NCAA football right here on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. And we're back on the Firebird Broadcasting Network for Tylor Sorensen. I'm Peter Ferreri. Blue Jays 1-2 overall on the season. 0-2 in CCIW play. Trying to get back on their winning ways. But now let's go through some of the starters for the visiting Blue Jays of Elmhurst. As we see the officials about to do the coin toss in the middle. Again, should be a fun homecoming matchup. Unseasonably high temperatures today, should reach the upper 70s. Not often you get those type of numbers, especially in the final day of September. You'll take it though, right?
Oh yeah, I'll take it. Yesterday my high school team, we had our game. It was beautiful outside, gorgeous weather. Hopefully this can stay for at least a few more weeks. Finally just stay at this one temperature, not go up and down, not rain every single day like it has been the past few weeks. But I like this weather. It's nice and warm, especially for this beautiful homecoming weekend.
Yeah, you and I both joked with each other how, there were situations where we were warned parking might be a bit of an issue today. We got our steps in just getting here. So needless to say, the grills were going hours and hours beforehand. The bouncy houses you'll see in the background, cheerleaders, dance team, and an absolute packed house at Art Keller Field. As we get the official word from the referee. So one thing I talked about with Coach Haas as well is, as cliche as it sounds, the importance of special teams. But you and I both said, especially during that Albion game, how good the return game was for Carthage. And he said, Pete, we know not every player is going to make its block. The fact, though, that we have dynamic players that can make somebody miss, he goes, we just have pure speed on that return game.
Yeah, that's the best thing you can ask for, especially if you don't get it. If you catch it like closer to the end zone, but not exactly a full touchback, being able to get it past the 25, that's all you can really ask for. And then especially if you have that explosiveness to get it past the 50, that's the best case scenario for your offense.
So Carthage coming out. They will have the opening kickoff going right to left, wearing the all blacks with right numbers and letters and red helmets with the Firebird on the side of the helmet.
It's giving that old Dirty Bird look of the Atlanta
Yeah,
Falcons.
I was just going to say that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Again, we want to remind everybody, thank you for joining us live on the Carthage YouTube channel, the Firebird Broadcasting Network. And once players get underway here, pep band in the far sideline. Elmhurst just about, I guess you could say, an hour and a half from here, so some of their fans matriculating in now. Again, they probably weren't ready for the far amount of walking they'd likely have to do. And kickoff and underway here in Kenosha. Short kick picked up at the 11-yard line. Making a run to the left, trying to find a seam. Making another move. Not able to do much with it. And starting things off now offensively for this visiting Blue Jay squad. Getting the start under center is going to be Andre Acosta. Running back Aiden Pollock. Good offensive line. Receivers McCarville, Holtke, and Cockrell. Acosta 6'1" out of Yuma, Arizona. Running back at his left hit, shotgun formation. Already looking deep. Beautiful pattern broken up. Oh, what a great defensive play already for the home Firebirds. Outstanding job, number one, Jalik Barnes.
Yeah, that was really good there. Just almost got beat, but was able to make it up and make that great pass break up. If he wasn't there, that would have been disastrous.
Yeah, you can almost say it was, I mean, the pass maybe was a step behind. Didn't lead the receiver as much, but beautiful job. Good job by the offensive line holding up. Quick out pattern to the left. Shoulder to shoulder. Going out of play is Jake Cockrell, the 5'11" sophomore out of Stonebridge.
And nice quick out, gets it to about halfway through. So now it's a third and short situation. Misses that first big pass, but hey, you're still third and short. Your playbook is wide open now for this Blue Jays team.
Blue Jays wearing almost a North Carolina combination of colors, the baby blue numbers and letters, helmet and pants with the white jersey. We are now at third and a long 4. Shotgun formation, 2 to the right, tight end to the right. Bootleg, is he got a pass outlet? He does, and good job getting the reception is Christian Klinger, the tight end junior out of Pelican Lake, Wisconsin.
Yeah, and that was close to being a sack. Like we said before, that's going to be the keys to the game. You got to get that quarterback down. And Elmhurst's offensive line has not been, they've been decent, but they haven't been great. They haven't been non-stoppable. They are able to give up that sack. So you just need to convert on that right
From
there.
left to right, Manuel, Dan Muntum, Brown, Lovelace, Cornell, your starting offensive lineman for the Blue Jays today. Motion from right to left is going to be handoff, and that potentially is a false start. Let's see what the official call is.
Prior to snap, false start, number 72, offense.
So Caden Cornell, the sophomore out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, called for the false start. Putting Elmhurst a bit behind, but you're going back to that third down conversion. That was an outstanding job by Acosta, just breaking the tackle and still keeping his eyes downfield. Easier said than done.
Yeah, it really is, and especially since Acosta is a sophomore too. It shows great poise in the pocket, making sure you can break that tackle.
Shotgun formation. They've lived in this the whole time. It was a draw, as that wasn't the normal Acosta quarterback, so I believe that run was Gabe Holtke who lined up under or in the shotgun formation. So already mixing things up are the Blue Jays.
Yeah, they are.
For many years, that was just dubbed as the Wildcat. Anytime it's not a quarterback, Wildcat. Same formation, roll out to the right. Hitch pattern not there, fade pattern, it's open! That might be a flag. They're saying incomplete. So far today, kind of letting the players play, as not able to come down the catches. Gabe Holtke.
Yeah, this is great. Nice little rollout to the right here. Just wasn't able to get it. Chucks it downfield. Number 20, Jared Ruth there with the coverage. I think it could have been pass interference, but they're letting him play. I can't talk about it. I like when they let the players play. It's always more fun that way.
Looking at the defensive lineup for the Firebirds, Cox, Hughes, Levy, Gutierrez on the line. DeVito, we talked about him, conference leader in tackles. Another flag out pattern on actually a comeback route. Not sure if that's going to be flagged for holding. We'll see. But another flag potentially against the Blue Jays.
Holding. Offense. Number 72.
So indeed holding is going to be the call. 2 penalties on this drive alone. Not necessarily what you want to see if you're the Blue Jays, especially when that was a 3rd down conversion.
Yeah, especially now too. Now you're 3rd and super long. You got to try to get that deep pass, as we see Carthage basically try to make a big substitution, get all their DBs in, make sure they don't get past the sticks on this next play.
Starting secondary is Abreu, Ludwig, Walton, and Barnes for the Firebirds. But again, DeVito leading the charge at the linebacker position. And we'll talk more about that as the game goes on, but it's so vital that you have the conference leader in tackles on your lineup. 4-man front, a little bit of pressure. Wobbler on the out pattern and tried to turn a bit too quickly. It was Jake Cockrell. Got the ball, thought about turning upfield, dropped it without contact, and that'll result in a 4th down.
Yeah, he just didn't look it in completely. He could have had a nice gain to it, make it so it's 4th and manageable if they wanted to go for it on 4th down. But instead, he just completely drops it. Now it's 4th and long, and you got to put that punt team out there.
Back to punt is number 95, Nick Mullet. He is a large man for the punting position, 265 freshman out of Bradley Bourbonnais. Bit of a wobbler. That will take a very generous Blue Jay bounce as they're able to get it at the 1-yard line. My goodness, but another bit of laundry. We'll wait and see what happens. Potentially against Carthage, but we just said letting him play, and now another penalty. Not quite sure what this call could be, as teams are kind of waiting to see, but I believe the defensive, the Blue Jay will stay out on the field. So now for the official call.
Holding. This is the goal from the end of it. 1st down.
So holding going to be the call, that time on Carthage. Not easy to have a specials team holding call, but they're already back at the 1. Where are you going to go?
Yeah, that was, like you said, he was a big boy, but hey, he made a big play there. Punters don't really get a lot of the recognition that they deserve, and that's what you can do. He flipped the field immediately, gets them pinned at their own 1 now, especially with that holding call. Now Carthage has to drive 99 yards to try to get the score.
Not out of the realm of possibility. You and I in the game against Albion, they had some very long drives, some of them yielding in turnovers, but some of them yielding in scores. So quick out pattern to the right side, picked up by the running back. They'll be driven back, but nice positive gain. It looks like to be about a solid 6 yards, as looked to be Jordan Wiles on the reception. Wiles, of course, has just been all over the field for the Firebirds.
Yeah, he has, leading the team in receiving yards too with 223 in 3 games. You know that's gonna be Bryce Lowe's #1 target so far this season.
Lowe's already 1 for 1. He rolls out to the right. Another quick out pattern. Stellar catch. Gavin Betts getting the first down. Betts out of Troy, Michigan.
And speaking of another top receiver, Gavin Betts is #2 in receiving for the Firebirds this year. Great little out pass, making sure he gets it past the sticks, making sure they can get that first down. It gets a lot more breathing room for this Firebirds offense.
And Gavin Betts, 123 yards coming into today's contest with a touchdown. Wiles. Shotgun formation, 3 to the left, really wide, all the way to the sideline. Running back goes to the left hip. Rolling out, Lowe looks for somebody, across his body, down the field, all the way at the 28-yard line. Good job threading the seam to Gibson Groves. Groves, his 4th catch on the season, so already getting involved early.
Yeah, being able to find that nice zone, sees Lowe out of pocket, trying to make a scramble drill, and that's exactly what you need to do. And he was able to make a move and get somebody to miss so that he can get a few more yardage there.
What I really liked as well is he had Gavin Betts short, went long, took the opportunity, caught a cross body. They always say don't throw it back into the middle of the field. Took that chance, and it was successful. Fade pattern left side, try and make a dive. Flag called against #2 for the Blue Jays. And I believe Chris Reeves, the cornerback out of Brighton, Michigan, is going to get called.
Pass interference. Defense, #2. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
I hate to use the term a get-right game. I think it could be cliche. However, this is an opportunity for Carthage to show, okay, we can keep up. We can win. We can be a presence in the CCIW without, the past few weeks' results dictating the entirety of the season.
Yeah, especially against this Elmhurst team, which, like we said before, they have a new coach, and try to make sure, hey, we can run this team. We can run this team very, very well.
Blitz off to the left. Rollout was to the right. It's actually a pitch, juking in and out, and making a solid run offensively was number 25 for the Firebirds, Bryce Frank out of Marshall, Wisconsin.
Yeah, sophomore, big-bodied, making sure he takes a lot of people down with him. It's just a great running style, especially when you have multiple running backs that can just go downhill and take hits. That's exactly what you want from your starting running back in Bryce Frank.
Just to note, A.J. Lattimore still out, the right guard for the Firebirds. Hitch pattern to the tight end to no avail. Peter Orlandino tried to get his hands on it just over the right shoulder. Orlandino, 3 catches for 23 yards.
Yeah, now you're starting to see the Carthage offense start to a little bit of stutter steps right here. But hey, it's 3rd and 5. You can still get it. You've driven so far almost half of the field. Try to keep that momentum going, especially against an Elmhurst defense that looks a little bit gassed.
Mihailo Milanovic getting the start at the right guard position today. Say that 10 times fast. Milatinovic. And a nice job breaking it back inside. Bryce Frank doing a stellar job getting the starting nod today. Bryce Frank that's his 14 attempts coming into today's game with only 51 yards. So running a point of contention for this Firebird squad.
Oh.
So not the play you want if you're Carthage. That'll be a loss of, looks like a solid 7, Tyler.
Yeah, low snap. It's a drive killer sometimes, especially when that happens after a big play from Bryce Frank. It just sinks, and you see it. It's slow. Bryce, he just has to get on it and make sure that Elmhurst doesn't recover it.
Second down and a long 16 to go. 8:50 remaining in the opening quarter. Homecoming day here in sunny Kenosha. Mid-70s temperature, low out to the right. Oh, just a clean drop. Peter Orlandino. That's his second attempt toward him. First one, very tough contested play, but that one probably should have been caught.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. That was another low snap, and he just got off of it a little bit, and was just trying to make a play and wasn't able to do it.
So third down. Getting the snap, shotgun low, looks off to the right, nice catch. Just a little hitch route right at the sticks. Beautiful play to result in that first down. A long third down conversion by Ishmaeli. Outstanding play.
Yeah, Ishmaeli, I remember calling him his name week 1, being quarterback, running back,
Yeah.
wide receiver, wherever you needed him, he was going to be. And right there, he was able to make the play for Carthage, getting that first down, and even a little bit more, a few more yards after that.
Handoff over the middle. No space to go for Earl Jackson. The freshman getting some reps now at the running back position.
Yeah, loss of 2 it looks like too, but like I said, this game is going to be one of the in the trenches. Elmhurst's defense is still really good. That front three, because they run a 3-4 mainly. It's going to be a tough battle for this Carthage team, especially trying to get this ground game moving, something that really we haven't seen the past few weeks.
Motion left to right, shotgun, running back at the right hip. Good snap to low. He looks outside again, comeback route. That far sideline comeback route. Absolute money time and time again for Carthage so far on this drive.
Yeah, it really has. And again, I believe that was Jordan Wiles coming back and making that catch. Now it's third and about half, 3rd and 5-ish it looks like. Something that you want, especially if you're this Carthage offense. Keep that drive going and making sure you can get those first downs over and over again.
Yeah, it looks like 3rd and long 4.5, maybe 5. Some helicopters in the sky today. Grilling. Still people funneling in here at first quarter of action. Tons of people tailgating today. I mean, just an absolute perfect day for homecoming. Low, rolls out to the right, looks for the corner. Oh my goodness, a step in front of Orlandino, but at least Low put it into place where only his tight end could get it.
Yeah, it really was the only place that Orlandino could get it. Almost gets sacked here on the outside, is able to scramble around, making sure he steps up into the pocket, delivers his throw just a little bit too far. But hey, that's exactly what you want for your quarterback.
Yeah.
You don't want it underthrown. You want it overthrown.
Correct.
Because if it's underthrown, who knows, it could end up in a pick or even worse, a touchdown if it goes the other way.
So it looks like they're going for it on 4th down. Shotgun formation, brackets on the 2 receivers to each side. Quick slant.
Ooh.
That was a tough call. Looked for the quick slant to Jordan Wiles, but they were kind of reading that one out. They wanted to take away anything short. And so turnover on downs for the Firebirds.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't take all negatives from that. Starting at your own 1 or 2 yard line, being able to drive this far down the field. Hey, that proves that the Carthage offense is ready to go and willing to play hard. They just had a little bit of stumbles here and there. You just got to get those fixes in, and then they could have gone all the way.
Blue Jays now take over on downs at their own 28-yard line. Handoff up the middle. A little bit of pushing after the play. Potentially a gain of 1 for this Blue Jay squad.
This Blue Jay squad, they need to get that offense rolling if they want to try to get it. But Carthage is going to hold firm all week, all day. We know this, especially seeing last week. week one, they only really scored in a lot of these big plays, not a lot of these small going on. So Carthage needs to be ready for those big plays.
Gun formation, motion left to right, look for that quick play. Oh, nice job, screen over the middle. Oh, what an open field tackle. That prevented a huge gain. My goodness, Tyler, that could have been 6.
Yeah, that could have been 6, but hey, guess who was their CCIW leading tackler, Chris DeVito, making that perfect open field tackle, almost a shoestring-ish, and making it so it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and a half for the Elmhurst Blue Jays.
So lining up now. Blue Jays, had me fooled. I love that screen over the middle. And that's where the big players step up. Play action. Looking left. Receiver open, underthrown, makes a cut. Goes back to the far side. And coming away with a huge first down is Gabe Holtke. And it's a good thing that Acosta, had some contact, because if he would have been able to lead him, that would have been 6.
Yeah, the wide receiver just got right behind defensive back Mutter. If it was on time and just perfectly thrown, just dropped in there, that would have been going for 6. But luckily that D-line was able to get there, like you said, make it so that way Elmhurst's quarterback was just a little bit uncomfortable in the pocket, something they needed to start to do more and get that a little bit more pressure in against Elmhurst.
Those are 2 great play calls for the Blue Jays on this drive so far. Both of them, I should say, could have went for 6. RPO, that one has the lead, drops it in the breadbasket, nothing but 6. Outstanding play for the Blue Jays. Jake Cockrell puts the Blue Jays on the board 6-0.
Yeah, but I don't think that could have been any more perfectly covered by Jalik Barnes. Draped all over him, but like we said before, the quarterback was just able to put it only where his receiver could get it, and that time it showed.
Absolute perfect spiral. The prettiest pass that we've seen of the day so far. We've said that's the 3rd time where we'll get to that in a moment. Extra point blocked on the ground. And that will prevent Max McCarville, a local Kenosha product from St. Joe's, from getting that extra point. So 6-0 is going to be your score. For Tyler Sorensen, I'm Peter Ferreri. As we take another look at that pass, Tyler, my goodness. Yeah, perfect pass.
That was just perfect. I don't think you could have done it any better. Let your receiver run it under it, and then of course just way too low, just gets blocked completely. But that pass you can't practice that. That's just something that just takes repetition and time, and it was just perfect, right in the breadbasket, right in the waiting arms of their wide receiver.
Yeah, it looks like Oliver Cox, I believe, to be credited with the extra point block. And now let's see what kind of resolve the Firebirds have. Again, new coaching staff for the Blue Jays. Opening drive, a lot of penalties. However, on that drive alone, a screen that could have went for 6, a second pass that could have went for 6, just underthrown, and then the third one absolutely on the dot. So the Blue Jays really doing some good jobs of the offensive play calling. That one looks like it might go out of play, and it does.
Yeah, try to get it to where Carthage isn't for special teams. Try to make it so that way they can try to get the ball back. But unfortunately, went straight out of bounds. That's not what you want to do as a kickoff team.
If you hear a noise in the background, there is a helicopter. Keeps looping, but low flying at this point. So if you're the Firebirds offensively, you had a good opening drive. Just the slant pattern didn't go your way on 4th and short. What do you do offensively this time around? Is it just rinse and repeat and not necessarily be concerned about the early 6-0 deficit?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best thing that you can do, especially if you're Carthage here. You were able to move the ball around. You just missed a few shots deep. You just got to keep that running game going. Make sure you don't stray away from it completely.
Roll out to the left. Wide open. Trying to cut back inside. So hard to bring down is Jordan Wiles. He is a I don't want to use the word gadget player, but he's your Swiss Army knife. You know, out of the backfield, the deep patterns, the fly routes, or those quick hitches that get you, or quick outs and you cut it back upfield to get you 7.
Yeah, not to mention, too, like you said, he's a Swiss Army knife, but he's also very, very shifty, trying to make people miss all the time. We saw it right there in that last play.
Lining up in the backfield this time. Lowe. Actually, mark that. Lowe's going to keep it himself. In the backfield with him was Bryce Frank. Carthage fans not quite happy that Lowe decided to keep it, resulting in a 3rd and 6 now.
Yeah, 3rd and 6. Bryce Frank looked like he had the edge right there if you would have been getting it, but hey, that's what happens when you try to do a zone read. It's very, very rough, and you got to make a quick decision, and Bryce Lowe just wasn't able to make it that fast.
Yeah, the two Bryces, Lowe and Frank. Slant pattern, holds onto it. The cornerback for the Blue Jays, Jeff Laylighter, slipped the Antioch product and allowing a nice, crisp first down. You can say, okay, you really wish that maybe he would have, caught it on the run, but it was knee height. Get the secure catch, get the first down, live to play another day.
Yeah, get that secure catch, and especially like you said, they were able to get it past the change too. That's always the one thing that you got to worry about, especially if you fall down right away. You got to make sure you're past the changes. That's what Carthage was able to do right there.
Shotgun getting pulled back. I believe that was a breakdown of coverage. My goodness, coming in like a heat missile. I believe was number 32 for Elmhurst, the linebacker Danny French.
Yeah, it looked like he jumped the snap too. I don't know if we can get a replay on that, but he was in there faster than the ball was. It seemed like than the ball was snapped.
I give Lowe credit for just from the hip shooting it off. So, and at a receiver, so no intentional grounding. It was the best case scenario for all things considered. Motion, high snap, tipped over. So I believe that was the intent of the play anyway, but nonetheless, Lowe not happy, kind of pointed to his center and said that was a bit too high. 3rd and 11.
Yeah, that's something you cannot have, especially if you're in a primary pistol/gun formation team. You can't have those high-low snaps. They got to be on the money every single time. That's why you practice it every single day. And right now, they're just getting too low or too high at some points.
Trips right, one to the left. Looking, beautiful route tree to the outside. Catch made by number 81, Gavin Betts.
Yeah, is able to just get it perfect. Bryce Lowe just finds the open man, breakdown in zone coverage. That's exactly what you want to do against zone coverage. You want to find those open gaps, and that's exactly what Gavin Betts was able to do and make sure they get that first down. Now they're at the opponent's 35, where they were last time, I believe.
Not to ever say I have favorites, Tyler, but I love a good trips formation where, you have so many options. Right now they're playing it man, single high, on the ground low, just fires it. Another bad snap, so some interesting center exchanges for Matt Johnson right now. Just not really clicking, I guess you could say. I'm not trying to be, harping on him, but that's multiple mishandled, and I don't want to say they're bad. You're a lineman. Talk me through what you're seeing. I'm not trying to be mean to the guy. I'm just saying there's some miscommunication right now.
Yeah, I think right now, the biggest issue is that he's in his own head. Obviously, with a 3-4 defense, you're going to have that nose tackle, and I think he's just too worried on getting that block first rather than trying to get the snap, and it's ruining some of these Carthage drives.
Quick out, nice timing pattern to Wiles, tries to cut back in. Sure-handed tackle for the Blue Jays defensively, but pushing forward, we might have a fumble. Oh my goodness. Turnover on the fumble from Wiles. Tylor, talk us through it. Well, that's the end of the play. My goodness, we talked about one of the keys to the game, Tylor, was turnovers, and that is not what you want to see if you're the Firebirds.
Yeah, no, I think it was just they were trying to get too many yardage. They were just spinning around trying to make sure they break a tackle. But at that point, you got to make sure you have two hands on the ball. Don't make sure they don't get it, especially if you're on the opposing sideline.
Yeah.
They're going to be trying to fight for that ball all the time.
At their own 28-yard line.
So now at their own 28-yard line. All right, here's another look at it. Yeah, popped out right before his knee hit the ground. The linebacking play for the Blue Jays yet again. We'll get to more on that in a second. There's the sack machine for the Firebirds. Coming up big after that turnover. Defense needs to step up in this third possession. Not that they did anything wrong per se in the first one. First possession for the Blue Jays offensively really aided the Carthage squad by the amount of penalties they have. Second offensive possession by the Blue Jays went downfield at ease. Defense now having to do what they need to do. Huge sack.
And I believe that was Boston Bauer on the sack in the backfield, just being able to make those plays. It's completely going after that quarterback. Something that we talked about before. The offensive line is going to give up those sacks that they've been giving up so far.
Quick out pattern, that one hits the ground. So, Andre Acosta, just to kind of talk about where things have gone for him so far. Overthrown balls, underthrown balls, but one perfect pass is what the difference is. That one, a little bit low.
Yeah, and like you said, it was one perfect pass. It's all you really need. You just got to get that one pass right on the money, and they can score. It's something that's very explosive, especially with the spread offense that it looks like Elmhurst is liking to run. Just get that one perfect pass. It could go for either 6 or it could go for 25 yards, depending on where it is.
Third down and a long 18. Shotgun formation. 1 to the left, 2 to the right. Motion man, left to right. There's the out pattern. He's just going to take it for yardage. And again, pass goes too far. And another off-the-mark pass for Acosta. And Blue Jays will be forced to punt.
Yeah, Blue Jays being forced to punt. Last time they did, they got Carthage pinned back in their own one. Let's see if they're able to do that again. And especially if you're Elmhurst, you're hoping that that's the case.
54 seconds remaining in the first quarter for Tylor Sorensen, Peter Ferreri. Appreciate you being with us on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Punt almost blocked. The punter gets mauled. And that might be a situation where, oh, there is a Firebird player writhing in pain right now.
25-yard line, there's a penalty marker on the play.
So I believe it's 42. Tommy King looks to be slow to get up. There was a huge collision between King and the punter, so I believe
Personal foul. Roughing the kicker. 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down, Elmhurst.
yeah, so I believe Tommy King is the player that's not feeling well right now, for lack of a better term. It looks like his right knee's getting checked. But Tylor, tough play to get a roughing the kicker on a 4th and 18.
Yeah, and especially, too, with a 4th and 18, even though it is just a 15-yard penalty, that's an automatic first down. That's something that needs to be looked at, especially, like we said before, special teams can be the death of some teams, and right now we're seeing it. They had a great punt, their first punt, and now you have a roughing the kicker. It needs to be addressed.
Football's such a fickle game in the sense of, you know, you could say things have been in the advantage of one team or the other. Carthage has had the opportunity and have driven the ball down the field. Turnover of downs on the 4th down and short. A turnover on another opportunity to get into the red zone. About to get the ball back. Huge stop on the swarming defense as half the Firebirds are in on the tackle.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need, especially against this Elmhurst team. You got to have that group tackling, making sure they can't go anywhere, especially as we see this replay. Just nice pickup. I believe that's number 46 again. Boston Bauer is the first one in the backfield. Just being around everything. It seems like he's around everywhere. I believe that might be 45 instead. We have both out there.
Yeah, there was a swarm. So in the middle right now, as well as Ethan Ivan, the D tackle freshman out of Wilmot High School. Let's see if he can get some pressure. Out pattern. And that will be the end of the first quarter. The visiting Blue Jays lead the home Firebirds 6-0 on homecoming. We'll take a timeout when we come back. Second quarter action on the Firebird Broadcasting Network.
After 1 quarter of play, score Elmhurst 6, Carthage nothing. Fans, at this time, we would like to recognize those alumni who are back on campus for the 150th anniversary celebration of the Carthage Band, one of the first college bands in the country. The group has grown from a 6-member brass band to now include the pep band, jazz ensemble, Philharmonic Orchestra, concert band, and wind orchestra. Our alumni will be playing along with the wind orchestra and Carthage choir in this evening's homecoming concert at 7:30 p.m. at Siebert Chapel.
As the Carthage Band plays in the far stands, near stands to capacity right now. Both teams looking for some more offensive firepower in the rushing category. -6 for the Firebirds, -7 for Elmhurst.
Yeah, that's something that you got to get working on first things first. Your rushing game, even though it's sort of gone downhill recently, especially in the NFL, you don't see it a lot more. But, hey, that's the crux of your offense. If you're able to run the ball down their throats, the defense starts to get gassed, and that's when the passing lanes start to open up a lot more.
So more info to come, but we did get a note that there might be some shifting of positions in the offensive line, secondary to the conversation we were having about the mishandle of snaps. So we'll keep an eye on it, Tyler. Third down, 10-yard shotgun rollout to the right, crossing pattern. Nice job, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. As coming back to the ball was Gabe Holke, but he might have come back too far. Let's see what the spot's going to be, and they're going to give him the first down. So must have just crossed with the ball at the end.
Yeah, that's one thing you got to pay attention to, especially if you're a wide receiver running out of bounds. You got to make sure you're either at the sticks or behind the sticks to make sure you get that first down. And luckily for Elmhurst, they were, but for Carthage, you got to pay attention to that and make sure you can make that play faster, because it looked like he was just barely in front of the sticks.
We'll keep you posted as well throughout the day, scoring leaders, stats leaders, out-of-town scoreboard, all that and more. Calling the play. Defensively looking for the blitz. Good job handing it off, but that was a good defensive play. I really appreciated the effort of Jared Roth out of Urbana. Really, you saw Acosta kind of look off to his left, saw that blitzing player, the linebacker, and forced him to hand off. The defensive shift looked like they're already hitting those gaps to their left.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need to do, especially if you're the defense, making sure you fill those running holes right away, especially if you do know what the play is. And now it's 2nd and 12 for Elmhurst. Now, I believe they're at -9 rushing yards for the game so far.
Beautiful day here in Kenosha. There's even an ice cream stand out in the grassy area. Bouncy houses. You can even see in the distance cars parked along the road. All on the shoulder, some in the ditch. When I saw that, I said, that will not be me parking today.
No, I think when I got here, I think I saw them all the way down from both stoplights, just surrounding Carthage, getting excited for this homecoming dance and homecoming game for the Carthage Firebirds.
Well, how often is it the last day of September you have a near 80-degree temperature day in Kenosha? Not often, my friend. Third down, 11, shotgun. Roll out to the left. They do the pump fake. There's that screen over the middle. It's an interception, or did it hit the ground? I believe they're going to give him the pick. Oh, the back judge comes in and says it hit the ground. What an effort for the Firebirds. Who else? Chris DeVito.
Yeah, just was barely able to touch the ground. The running back got swarmed by Elmhurst's own offensive lineman. Make sure he hits it. And then, like we said before, the quarterback just barely misses him over the top, throws it a little bit too far, and then that's the one time where you actually want to underthrow it.
Yeah.
Especially with a screen.
Tyler, talk me through it. When you have a player like Chris DeVito, you being a lineman behind you. Oh, it's a fake punt. Oh, my goodness, and a catch for Elmhurst. Number 48, Zach Fowler, the linebacker out of Aurora Central Catholic. Tyler, a bit of trickeration.
Yeah, what else can this guy not do? The punter pins Carthage within their own 1 yard line, takes a big hit for a penalty, and now throws a pass. Almost could score a touchdown now. Now if you're Carthage, now all the momentum's in Elmhurst's side. You just got to make sure they can make the stop now and try to get that. Now they want that turnover back.
Yeah, Nick Mullet, and when he's out there, he looks like former quarterback. I believe it was Lorenzen.
Oh, Jared Lorenzen,
yeah.
The hefty lefty.
Yeah, rest in peace, Lorenzen. But
False start. Offense.
and you see one of the coaches for the Blue Jays 15 yards out on the field throwing his hat. Just, again, as an offensive lineman and an offensive line coach, Tyler, it has to be frustrating now that I believe is their second or third false start in this first half.
Yeah, especially when it's your own guys, you got to make sure, hey, if you don't know the count, just keep your eye on the ball. You can do that, especially as a tackle. You're able to look at it and make sure you can do it. You just got to pay attention to what you're hearing, especially with a crowd as loud as Carthage is right now.
Acosta, shotgun formation, as they've done with most of the game. Read option. Oh, my goodness. Gets absolutely plastered by 54, Oliver Cox. Bang.
And also, I believe Cristobal Gutierrez Jr. was in there as well, delivered a nice hit, making sure they cleaned up completely as we see this replay. Off the side, hits him perfect, just cleans it up right there. And that's exactly what you want if you're the Carthage Firebirds. Make it a second and forever, it seems like, for Elmhurst.
Yeah, Gutierrez, the North Riverside product, did indeed get there first. Just absolutely smashed. It was like that play from a few years ago on the NFL level when Cameron Wake and Dominican Sue pancaked Bryce Petty into retirement for the New York Jets. Another NFL team still trying to figure out their quarterback situation after a 3 plays and done Aaron Rodgers season. So not to talk about the former Packer, but I got to ask you, being a Packers fan, did you want him to succeed being in a different conference, or were you like, yeah, bye?
I mean, for myself at least, I always liked it. So a little bit about myself, playing for CYC. I played for the CYC Broncos. They were my AFC team. Now with him going to the Jets, I'm like, hey, you know what? I'll take the Jets as my AFC team.
Okay.
Gotta love it. But unfortunately, of course, torn his Achilles. Now they just got to figure out what they're going to do there.
Ooh. Oh, my goodness. Outstanding wheel route to the far side. Acosta gets planted. A third and forever conversion. As we see on this replay, Tyler, everything's coming up Blue Jays in long situation. He couldn't even get his whole arm into it. It was a 3/4 length throw. Acosta is slow to get up. He tried to make his way a few steps and just got hammered across the rib cage. Oh, hard hit.
Yeah, but that's taking a look back at it. That's exactly what you want your starting quarterback to do. Just being able to stand in there, deliver the throw, especially with him only being a sophomore. He's looking poised. He's looking like he's done this before. And hey, it might have just taken the wind out of him. Hopefully that's all it is. But that's exactly what if you're Elmhurst, that's what you want from your starting quarterback, especially as a first-year head coach. You're like, hey, this guy's a leader. He's willing to stand in there, lay his body on the line from our team. yes, he's missed a little bit here and there, overthrows, underthrows, but hey, that all comes with time, and especially being a sophomore now you just got to keep on learning how to and gelling with your teammates, making sure you can hit those throws.
So coming in relief is Connor Buck. Buck's played in 2 games, 0 for 4 with an interception. So not a situation like Carthage has where you have your plethora of quarterbacks at your disposal. So immediately getting thrown into the fire. Let's see what he comes up with. So pistol formation this time. 2 to the left, 1 to the right. Handoff up the middle, smart play. Running room off to the right, solid gain. What looks to be at least 7 yards. That actually looks to be closer to the 9 mark with where he actually fell with the extension. Yeah, gain of 8 they're going to mark it as, so 2nd and 2. Smart play. You don't want him throwing right off the bat. Hand it off. Get a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, and I believe that was the first time that Elmhurst has rushed today, and they got positive yardage. So it's starting to look like Carthage might be a little bit gassed, especially in that front line, trying to make sure they can get after that quarterback. And now they're probably going to start running the ball more, so you got to pay attention to that.
Elmhurst 26 points on the entire season, 177 rushing yards total, 99 lost yards. Roll out to the left, quick hitch to quick out pattern, I should say, to one of the tight ends, Christian Klinger. They've relied on him a bit today. You like to have that outlet if you're a young quarterback, if you're a new quarterback coming into the game. That's the first completion of the season for him.
Yeah, and especially now at number 19, Andre Acosta is coming back into the game, and that's especially good, like you said, to get it, making sure you have a young quarterback or a new quarterback, make sure they get that safety blanket, especially as a tight end. You hear it all the time in the NFL. You got to have that big body tight end to be there, make sure he can get those plays and just be there all the time. And right now, that's the guy for Elmhurst.
Connor Buck last year, 7 games, passed for 54 passes, 574 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And a handoff's going to get the team just at about the 4-yard line. 8:45 remaining in the half. And grabbing his face mask is the aforementioned tight end, Christian Klinger. What potentially was a off-ball injury. So let's see what... But while we have a moment, let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard as we have a lot of action in the CCIW today, as the training staff coming on actually to help Christian Klinger get off the field. So a kind of glorified timeout. So clock's going to be stopped at 8:46. I believe it'll be a 2nd and 5. So no, I don't see an official timeout having been taken. So taking a look now at that aforementioned out-of-town scoreboard. Today, North Central taking on Wheaton, Illinois Wesleyan versus Milliken. North Park at Wash U, and Carroll versus Augustana. So whistle going to blow that dead. I didn't see the official. There's a penalty on the ground, excuse me.
Timeout Elmhurst is their first timeout of the half.
Timeout Elmhurst, actually, so maybe the flag was to just stop everybody from moving around, but again, for Tylor Sorensen, I'm Peter Ferreri. Some outstanding matchups across the board, especially looking at that Wheaton North Central game. Any stats for today really lining up to you so far that that stand out. We talked about the negative yards. Acosta 10 for 17, a touchdown, sacked twice. Lowe 11 for 17 for 98 yards, longest of 17. But that 37-yard bomb by Acosta is the difference today. It's Cockrell's one of his 2 catches, and that led to a touchdown.
Yeah, it really has, especially now that he's coming back onto the field again. It's just one of those things too that we were talking about. He might be missing a little bit too low, a little bit too high, but when he's on the money, he's on the money. It seems like so far today.
And easy touchdown, toss and catch. Acosta back of the end zone for Clayton Markich, the Oshkosh, Wisconsin tight end. What a tight end room, or excuse me, make that number 48, Zach Fowler, I believe, the linebacker. We'll wait and see who. I want to see who actually came away with that catch. Indeed. So I was thrown off for a second. The linebacker, Zach Fowler, checked in as an extra blocker. It looks like they're going for 2. Trips to the right, motion out, sprint back in. Wide open spaces for 2 is number 28, Jeremy. I believe that was 28. Let's wait for the... Or it might have been 26, mark that. Eric Brown out of Rockford Boylan High School. And Elmhurst leads 14-0. I was so thrown off, Tyler, that your linebacker was in. I looked at the wrong number. I said clearly it could have been him, and it was. It is 14-0.
Yeah, I mean, the line 48 just sort of split into between a nice little seam pass, trying to find that open zone, was able to find it. And then now, of course, now Elmhurst is up 14-0, and it all stems back to that fake punt. The momentum was all in Carthage's favor. As soon as Elmhurst was able to complete that, now it's all Elmhurst time to shine. Now it's 14-0 for them. Now it's Carthage. They need to come back, and they need to start coming back now.
I feel so bad, but you have to ask the question. A lot of people weren't expecting this today, or at least to be so one-sided so far. But penalties have hurt the Blue Jays. They've also helped the Blue Jays, roughing the pass or roughing the kicker, but all set up by the rifle of the mullet man, Nick Mullet, on the fake punt, which resulted down the road in that touchdown. So let's see what the return game can do. In for the Firebirds is the freshman Earl Jackson.
Jackson on the return. Brought down by Zephyro for a return of 19 yards. Carthage takes over first and 10 at their own 37-yard line.
A lot of upcoming games this week as well on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. We'll get to that in a moment. But right now, Firebirds need some offense. 8:26. Lowe stumbles. Maybe got back to the line of scrimmage. It looks like they're going to say he potentially lost half a yard, Tyler.
Yeah, and that's rough, especially with just like a straight quarterback run. You got to make sure your offensive line gets in position and make sure they basically try to bully the defensive line, and that isn't what happened. It was just a straight go, and it just ended up going to a negative rushing attempt.
In the shotgun, looks like a cover 6 potentially. Immediately rolling off to the left, swarming to the right, as I would do just the same as Jordan Wiles, nowhere to go. He's been the offense so far, so they had a man coverage on him, and they had a lurking linebacker. 3rd and a long 9.
Yeah, this is going to be rough for Carthage. They got to try to find something that can hit behind the sticks, making sure they can get that first down. And so far now the momentum is all in Elmhurst's way, so it's going to be rough for Carthage to try to get a good completion and making sure they can get the first down and continue this drive going.
Coach Haas told me just yesterday, Tyler, he said we cannot look past this game. Maybe a free play low just kind of throws it out there, but that'll be what is likely to be an easy 5 yards for the Firebirds. Don't forget as well, stick around for the halftime report. And the Firebird.
Number 6. Replay the down.
So a replay of the down. We'll go over staff's stats, highlights, and again go across the CCIW. A 28-7 lead right now. North Central over Wheaton College. So the battle of the undefeateds is leaning the Redbirds' way. On the double snap count, that might be going back after they tried to get another free 5 off of Lowe doing the double snap count. Might be a false start.
And it's always rough, especially if it's a wide receiver.
Offense, number 31. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Talk me through it, Tyler. You know, the first, how hard is it as a lineman, offensively or defensively, to stay home, knowing, you know, the snap count can change like that?
Offensively, it's fairly simple in my opinion, especially as an offensive player. You know the snap count, you should know what it is, but obviously sometimes they go on a freeze count, so it's just rough, especially if you're in a low position. It's tough to sometimes stay in it as Lowe overshoots it, but
yeah.
As an offensive lineman, you just got to make sure, hey, I'm in my comfortable position, I stay in it, and I make sure I know the snap count. As a wide receiver, too, you got to make sure. A lot of times they like to look ahead and look right at the defensive back.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've been teaching the wide receivers, hey, look in, watch the snap count, because sometimes you can't hear the quarterback. It's going to be rough. And then as a defensive side, you just got to watch the guy in front of you. If they move, then you move.
Yep, it's easier to be late than early, especially considering that the offense has come to a stop. Flag on the ground. I believe it was tipped or maybe just off the side of the foot, so that's going to roll to about the 29-yard line. But again, there's a flag. So not sure if it's going to be a formation, a legal shift. So everybody kind of just pausing right now before seeing who's going to take the field.
Goes out of bounds at the Elmhurst 30-yard line. There's a penalty on the play.
If you're Carthage, though, you're hoping that's on Elmhurst, trying to keep this drive alive, making sure that you can try to get that first down. But
it's a long meeting right now with there are 4 officials right now having a conversation. Not often that it takes this long.
Illegal formation on the defense. 5-yard penalty, play 4th down.
So it looks like they're going to replay the kick. That will favor the Firebirds because that was not a good punt. Officials today, Nicholas Needs is your head ref, umpire Dave Montgomery, Dean Oscar, Nathan Reggett, Tim Neergarter, and your side judge is Dylan Dooley. So they'll punt again.
Punt again, 4th and 3 though. Now, if they wanted to, they could try to go for something fake, but it looks like that Carthage is just gonna go for the straight punt, give it back to Elmhurst, and trust their defense to try to make a stop.
So back to punt, Aaron Ankevich.
Ankevich to punt for Carthage. Bolton deep for Elmhurst.
See if Ankevich can deliver a cleaner kick this time. Absolutely blocked. Bounce once, twice, trying to scoop and score, but nonetheless, the Blue Jays land on it at the, looks like 12-yard line. They got it tipped the time before. Adjustment wasn't made. And the Blue Jays in business.
Yeah, the Blue Jays are able to just block it completely, coming right off the edge. He didn't really have to even dive for it. He just stuck out his arms and was just able to do a zombie walk and was able to block it. That's something that, again, we talk about we talked about it week 1, and now we're talking about it now. That's special teams. They need to find something that's going to work for them. And so far, I don't think they have found a single thing that's been able to work for them at all.
Tyler, you're in the huddle right now defensively. You're at the line. What do you have to do to not make it 21-10 to nothing.
If I'm there, I just got to do my job. I just got to make sure, hey, I'm a defensive lineman. I got to control my gap and get to the quarterback. He's been able to get away with a few too many deep shots. I got to make sure I can get there a little bit faster if I'm the defensive line.
Shotgun, 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Fakes the handoff, rolls out, steps back up, head from behind. Once again, Gutierrez Jr. out of Naz Academy making a key play defensively for the Firebirds. Wasn't sure if there was a flag. I had to look around for a second.
Yeah, Gutierrez. He's the last 2 drives, we've been calling his name a lot, and he's been making some plays left and right, getting to the quarterback fast, making sure he's playing his job, playing his zone, and doing really well. You just got to have the whole defense step up and make sure they can make all the plays that they can.
So the Blue Jays with under 6 remaining in the half, already a 2-touchdown lead, shotgun formation, 2 running backs. Fakes the handoff, keeps it himself. Converging on it. Good job peeling off the block is Ethan Ivan. That's got to make you happy as a lineman.
Yeah, that's the one thing that you always stress on is trying to peel off the block, make sure you can get that play. And, hey, that was perfect. Also, Gutierrez as well, being that read man, making sure, hey, I'm going to make sure they can't go outside of me, making sure the quarterback runs in and diving for the quarterback, twisting it, making sure he can get that gator roll, and making sure that his entirety of the defense can get there and make that play.
3rd down and about 8.5. However, 3rd nor 4th downs have scared away this Blue Jays offense today. Hands off, looking for the sweep of the right side. Running it down and stopping them where they stand. This time number 6, DeVito. So DeVito and Gutierrez almost single-handedly stopping the Blue Jays where they stay. Do they go for the kick now is going to be the question. Max McCarville, number 4, let's see if he makes his way out onto the field or if they decide to go for it. So I do see McCarville in the huddle. So interesting situation here because, and they're going to go for it. They indeed are going to go for it. McCarville, the wide receiver and kicker. All right, so Elmhurst decides to take a timeout. Tylor, if you are the Blue Jays right now, again, it helps that your wide receiver, one of your leading wide receivers, is also your kicker, so you got that bit of confusion coming out of it. Do you go for it?
I mean, there's just over 4 minutes left in the second half. I always like to say I always like to go for it. I like to be that risky player.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, you're at, I believe it's the 17-yard line right now. Might as well go for it. Might as well try to go for it. If you don't get it, hey, they're at their own 17. They got 4 minutes left to drive. They haven't really been moving the ball all too well in the past few.
Sure. First 2 drives they did, and then it's just been an absolute stoppage.
Yeah, so it's like I would trust my offense as it looks like Elmhurst is going to do. They're going to trust their offense, try to get that first down because remember, it's not a first and goal situation. They're 4th and 13 right now, so they can still get that first down and not have to score.
I want to shout out now James Musel, the 5'9" Montini Catholic lineman, just hyping up the defense from the sideline. They go for it on 4th down. Fade pattern, right corner. He's got him. Oh, and he just drops it. It falls out of his hands. Went for the back shoulder. It was there. Feet were in bounds. I believe he just dropped it. Let's take a look at this back shoulder timing throw.
Yeah, that was there. Was able to get a nice, that's the legal push off from the wide receiver. Just isn't able to get it in his hands. That's something that the Blue Jays have been dealing with so far. Is even though the quarterback, yes, sees a little bit overthrow, a little bit underthrow, sometimes the wide receivers have just not been looking in and dropping it completely, and that's a case for that.
That was on the spot. You can get better. I guess you can always say more perfect pass, but it hit both the hands. The play call was likely that comeback route or that back shoulder throw. Low now. Not sure if it was tipped. Doesn't matter. As able to come away with it for the Firebirds is number 28, Jordan Wiles. had, who arguably is the leading offensive weapon for the Firebirds all season.
Yeah, he really has been. Just been all over the field completely, and just is able to find that zone, making sure he can find the open space, making sure he can find the quarterback can find him, and now they're already at their own 32. That's already a 17-yard game, it seems like.
Lowe getting the majority of the snaps at quarterback, so not as much trickeration for this Firebirds team. Line shot, right side, knocked away at the very end by Chris Reeves.
Yeah, Arjun Ishmaeli beating himself up, trying to be like, hey, I can make that catch. And we've seen him before make tough catches like that, but instead it just went right through his hands, a little bit deflected, but you know he's going to want that one back.
Do you think that they aren't switching up the quarterback position so much because they know the run game has been fairly non-existent, that they're just sticking, okay, Lowe's are mostly throwing quarterback, we're just going to stay with this right now?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, especially looking at how Elmhurst has been defending the run very, very well. It's just been rough, but looks like a nice little screen pass for Argent. But again, even the screens haven't really been working for Carthage today.
Yeah, Shmali, the backup quarterback / running back / wide receiver screen. Only that time the other wide receivers couldn't necessarily get the block there in time, and resulting in a 3rd and 9. So unlike the Blue Jays, the third downs haven't necessarily favored Carthage.
No, they really haven't. But now, hey, if you're Carthage, you got to try to convert this. Just over 3 minutes left in the second quarter. You want to try to put some points on the board before halftime.
Carthage 4 for 6, but they were 4 for 4 in their first 4 third downs, 0 for 2 on the last 2. Lowe keeps it himself, tries to make a move, won't get enough. Good job defensively, not letting him get far. Lowe keeps it himself. Justin Harris, I believe, on the tackle. 4th and 4. Gain of 5. 2.5 remaining. Again, the last 2 punt attempts, one called back for one redone because of a penalty, was tipped. The second one blocked. So they're going to go for it. So Bryce will maybe they try to get him off sides to get that first down and just take the penalty. They decide to go for it. Lowe keeps himself, brought down at the line of scrimmage. Outstanding defensive play by the lineman, the 6'3", 230-pound COD transfer, Justin Harris.
Yeah, and Milo was just sort of standing there. I believe that was his guy, just sort of went right by him. And that's rough, especially if you're an offensive lineman. You got to make sure, hey, I have my guy first. And at that point, it didn't look like he had him. Looked like it was going to be a straight quarterback draw, and that's what it was. And you got to make sure you get your guy there, or you got to make sure they can get past him, so that way if it's a draw, Bryce has a wide open spot right in front of him to run.
So Lowe on the sideline throws the headset on. Blue Jays back in business. 2:04 remaining to try to get some more points on the board. Decided to go for it on 4th down. Drop pass in the end zone. Roll out to the right. Potential holding, not called. Acosta runs and gets about 4 yards on the play. Nice seal block on the outside by the offensive lineman and tight end group for the Blue Jays. I got to call out the tight end group. They have done a very good job catching, blocking, and everything in between for the Blue Jays today.
Yeah, and making sure the quarterback stays upright, too. Bringing that nice little safety blanket. We talked about it before, and just being all around everywhere for this Elmhurst team. Blocking, like you said, receiving, just even on kickoffs, it seems like they're always there.
Shotgun formation, 2 running backs to the right. Let's see if there's motion out of it. Play action in the middle, quick out pattern, turns it back upfield, lost his footing, so Cockrell gains about 4. It'll be 3rd down and what looks to be 3. Blue Jays now 140, and the clock continues to tick. Defense giving about a 5-yard cushion, but there's that hitch route. Oh! What a catch by Cockrell, right at his face mask, one of the hardest places to catch it. Comes away with it. And the Blue Jays get a first down, but clock continues to tick. 1.5.
Yeah, that's exactly what you wanted. You obviously wanted to try to make sure you stay upright, but hey, even though he's falling, he still makes that catch and making sure, hey, we can get this first down.
Rush up the middle, bringing it down with his right hand. What strength by Carthage number 51, Nick Levy, the Geneva Community High School grad.
Yeah, and it looked like number 99, Mitchell Sneed, had the ball, but instead they're calling him down. It looked like it could have been a fumble or a pick, but...
Something to note right now, quarterback Bryce Lowe getting looked at by a trainer at his right knee. So let's see if that had any effect. I thought I might have seen a bit of a hitch in his step coming to the sideline after the last one, but looking down now, getting the right knee taped. So let's see if that has any effect on when he comes back into the game. Also haven't necessarily seen Emmanuel Burnett getting much playing time today. So a holding call.
Costa's pass was incomplete. 10-yard penalty against Elmhurst.
Let's take a look at this again, Tyler.
Oh, I think that could have been a fumble.
Bring up first and 20.
That's close.
That's close. That
My goodness,
close.
that whistle the sound of the whistle must have just started before that came loose. 1:13 on the clock. Blue Jays trying to score, make it a 3-score game. Out pattern dropped.
Incomplete, but like we said, quarterback Acosta just standing in there as it gets drilled completely, trying to deliver that throw. I mean, you can't say you want more from a quarterback.
Yeah, that's true. Lowe still kind of standing by himself and trying to stretch things out. So we'll keep a soft eye on that. 2nd and a long 20. But again, with the amount of things we've seen and plays out of this Blue Jays playbook, I'm sure they have a 2nd and 20 play.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if they don't.
Huge cushion right now for all the receivers. Acosta all day just kind of threw that out of play. With 1:03, it'll be 3rd and 20.
3rd and 20, minute and 3, but that's exactly what you want to see the Blue Jays. Try to run this clock, make sure Carthage does not get the ball back before halftime. If you want to keep it and you just, hey, I just want to keep on running the ball, try to get another score if you can. That's perfect, but hey, making sure that Carthage does not have any time left on the clock, that's exactly what Elmhurst wants right now.
I think something else to keep in mind, Tyler, is you bring up a good point. They went for it on 4th down already in field goal range, and so wouldn't be surprised if they went for it on 3rd and 4th down. Maybe they get back 10 yards on 3rd down, let the clock wind down and go for it on 4th, and we might have another false start.
Yeah,
You're giving the motion in the booth.
Yeah, given the motion, that right tackle just moved way too early, way too fast. But that's what you can't do if you're Elmhurst. You can't predict the snap, especially on your own team.
Offense. 5-yard penalty. Down.
So called with the false start. Moving them back another 5, so 3rd and 25. That is a...
Operator, please reset the game clock to 1:04.
It's a long way to go. It looked like they were going to do a draw on that last play before. Right now, and there is indeed that draw. Don't be surprised if Carthage uses a timeout. There they do. So Coach Haas on that near sideline immediately calling a timeout, as it does indeed look like the Blue Jays are going to punt.
Hey, I mean, last time we saw them come out to punt, they had a fake throw punt, so I wouldn't be surprised if they come out and do something funky with it again.
Also to note, on the year, and we talked about the kicking game. Elmhurst has not attempted a field goal yet this year. So maybe it's a circumstance where, unless it's an extra point or a gimme opportunity, they just go for it.
Yeah, that's the one thing, though, that I got to say. Like, it sort of hurts your team if you don't have a kicker on your team. I don't believe it looks like that it was only Max McCarville, but I believe he's listed as a wide receiver, too. I think we saw number 48 back there as well. So having sort of an open door as a kicker, it's sort of rough because now you can't have that for sure 3 points, maybe an extra point after attempt. You got to rely on your offense to try to make some plays.
So here they are going for it and calling a timeout. So Nick Mullet was not in the game. Maybe, my thought, Tyler, maybe because it's 4th and forever, you hope to get a penalty. But indeed now, Nick Mullet, 1 for 1 passing today, comes into the game.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if you do see another fake here or try to get Carthage pinned into their own 1 yard line like we saw before.
To note, McCarville is the one that's taken the extra points, does have some successful extra points on the year, just hasn't lined up for a field goal. Here comes the punt. Let's see if they go through. The linebackers, however, taking their time. It's a wobbler, and it'll be fair caught at the 11-yard line. So 2 timeouts left for the Firebirds, none for the Blue Jays. A long way to go, but hey, crazier things have happened. Carthage was able to move the ball in the first 2 possessions. Let's see if they can do anything here. If you are the
52 return team, half the distance from the end of the kick, first down.
So John Pettit called with the penalty, and that will not help Carthage in the slightest as they are backed up to about the 6-yard line now. However, Coach Haas did call a timeout to allow Carthage to have some time left. I would not be surprised at all if they decide to make some moves.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either as we see them go spread here. Almost a bad snap.
It's a quick pass over the middle as Lowe slow to get up. Hopping back ahead. Not enough for the first down, or is it enough? Enough for a first down. Clock continues to tick. 2 timeouts left. They need some chunk, and they need it now or to get out of bounds. That one too low. So pass intended for Gibson Groves, the 6'3" senior. It's almost a good thing. It's like a stoppage of the clock.
Yeah, and especially on first down, too. Now it's only 2nd down and 10. You still have 2 other downs to play with, especially at this time. I don't think you're going to be punting it. I think you're just going to be going for it on 4th down if it does end up coming to that.
2nd 10. Trips right. Motion, Wiles. Let's see if he gets a full head of steam. They're going for the pass. Intercepted! Ishmaeli tripped, staying on his feet, and finally brought down. Gibson Groves has to make the tackle. Chris Reeves. Call him Superman, but he has the Blue Jays in business. No timeouts, but they have 20 seconds. Could we potentially see, a play over the middle, spike the ball, give yourself a closer opportunity? Or could you say a potential opportunity to get close enough to try their first field goal of the year? A lot of options now for the Blue Jays. This is not the half the Firebirds wanted.
No, it really isn't, and especially, too, that's sort of like almost the topping for it, just getting a pick right at the end, right when you wanted to try to get that momentum going heading into halftime. And plus, too, they're going to be receiving the ball come the second half, so you wanted to get that momentum starting now, but now it's all in Elmhurst's hand.
Bryce Lowe on the sideline just kind of throwing his hands up like he slipped. Roll out to the right. Looks for the fade pattern. Keeps it himself. Pulled down from behind. That is not what you wanted at all. Trying to spike the ball now.
Brought down by Warner.
And with 4 seconds left, my goodness, the coaching staff is beyond frustrated for the Blue Jays. If you think about it, you had a blocked punt, got you in the red zone, you came away with 0 points. Now, you have a interception into the red zone, just a ill-advised play by Acosta, trying to keep it himself, knowing that they didn't have a timeout. That's just that field, that's awareness of the situational awareness. That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, especially like that, you gotta just throw it away, especially if you don't see anything.
Getting brought down with 0 on the clock. And my goodness, so Carthage's defense steps up. As they go into halftime, they will receive the ball. Your score, 14 for the Blue Jays, 0 for the Firebirds. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, your halftime report brought to you by the Firebird Broadcasting Network.
For your halftime entertainment, the Spirit team will kick things off. Please welcome the cheer, dance, baton, flag, and ember. hear it for your cheer, dance, baton, and flag team. Please direct your attention to midfield for the presentation of the 2023 Carthage College Homecoming Court. Homecoming court members are chosen based on their leadership qualities, spirit, integrity, and achievement through their contributions and involvement at Carthage College. Please join us in welcoming each member of the 2023 Homecoming Court. First is Jana Allstrand. Jana is a graphic design major and business administration minor from Plymouth, Wisconsin. Jana currently serves as the president of Chi Omega Women's Fraternity, president of Bay Magazine, and is a student lead for the Carthage Athletics social media. Next is Damien Bouchette. Damien is an exercise science and sports science major and business administration minor from Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Damien is a member of the Carthage College men's lacrosse team. Mariah Bader. Mariah is a triple major in international political economy, management, and finance from Shell Lake, Wisconsin. Mariah is a captain of the Carthage cheer team, vice president of Phi Alpha Delta pre-law fraternity, vice president of the College Republicans, a member of student government, Alpha Chi Omega social sorority, and serves as a resident assistant, student ambassador, and peer tutor. Ben Ewald. Ben is a computer science major and communication minor from McChesney Park, Illinois. Ben is a member of the cross-country and track and field teams. Grace Chapa. Grace is a Spanish major and secondary education minor from Kenosha, Wisconsin. Grace serves on the executive board of Mi Henta, is a member of the Phi Theta sorority, has served as a new student orientation leader and Carthage Bound volunteer. Plays Carthage Wind Orchestra, Carthage Philharmonic, and Carthage Pep Band. Philip Hunter. Philip is a political science major and photography minor from Lansing, Illinois. Phil currently serves as president of the Carthage College Student Government, is a member of the Carthage baseball team, and B. Pente, and Youth Empowered in the Struggle. Madison Conway. Madison is a marketing major and management minor from Midlothian, Illinois. Maddie is a member of the Carthage softball team. Stuart Lilly. Stuart is a graphic design major and photographer minor from Oak Forest, Illinois. Stuart is involved in DRAFT, graphic design student organization, and serves as a graphic designer for Carthage Visual and Performing Arts and Carthage Marketing and Communication. Emily Prosser. Emily is an elementary education major and special education minor from Arlington Heights, Illinois. Emily is a student ambassador, member of the Association of Carthage Education Students and Special Olympics, and serves as the vice president of philanthropy from Alpha Chi Omega Women's Fraternity. Last is Joseph White. Joseph is a nursing major from Kenosha, Wisconsin. Joseph is a thrower on the Carthage track and field team. Joseph is a 6-time All-American athlete and is a 3-time NCAA Division III national champion. Joseph currently holds the NCAA Division III record for weight throws. Through a nomination process, followed by a campus-wide vote, 2 individuals have been selected as this year's homecoming king and queen. This year's homecoming king is Joseph White. And this year's homecoming queen is Grace Chapa. Thank you to all who voted. Thank you to our nominations, and congratulations, Joseph and Grace. And now to round out your halftime entertainment, our Carthage College Pep Band.
Welcome back to the Firebird Halftime Show. Alongside Tylor Sorensen, I'm Peter Ferreri. Wanted to make sure the king and queen of homecoming got their accolades and announcement. Congrats to the two of them waving as they're making their way off the field. Not the positive results on the field right now, though, for the Firebirds and Blue Jays. Let's look through now some of those first half stats, Tylor. And again, you could say fairly evenly matched, but when you look at it, -2 rushing yards, passing yards favoring Elmhurst, both with 9 first downs, many more penalties by Elmhurst, and less third down conversions. You would think that Elmhurst was losing. Not the case.
Yeah, Elmhurst is up 14-0. Just some great plays by starting quarterback Andrew Acosta for Elmhurst, just standing in there, getting pummeled basically play after play, it seems like, but delivering those dimes. Yes, a few times he's a little bit overthrown, a little bit underthrown, but hey, he's standing in there going 12 for 22, 141 yards, and those 2 touchdowns, making sure giving Elmhurst the lead. Also,
Acosta has been sacked 4 times so far. So the front of the defense has played very well for this Carthage team. It's just some big plays, some mishaps, some block punts, and as we stated, the block punt didn't even result in any points, but the fake punt by Elmhurst, they're pulling out all the stops, and most of the time they're working.
Yeah, it really is, and it shows like that you got to work on your special teams, even though, of course, the block punt didn't really amount to anything, but hey, you can't have that fake punt go for as long as it did. It has to be blocked down right away. But it's just ever since that first touchdown, it's all been Elmhurst's way. Carthage had momentum for their first 2 drives, getting some yardage, but after that, they just really haven't been able to move the ball at all.
One thing that Coach said in our conversation yesterday, he said, Pete, it is critical that we tighten up the screws. He said, it's always this whole season, it's a miss blocked here. It's a drop pass here. When we have to be our best is at the critical times, and we haven't been. Unfortunately, this first half has shown more of the same. A missed assignment here, a drop pass, sure, you can't defend the perfect pass per se on that first touchdown, but allowing your punts to get blocked, it's these type of things, roughing the kicker on a punt attempt, those are the type of things that result in a 14-0 deficit.
Yeah, it really does. But looking into it, Carthage will receive the ball in the second half, so just a few things to look forward to. Hopefully the momentum can start to go Carthage's way here in the second half, and so that way they can get that point going and get that ball rolling.
Looking at some of the other numbers, 15 for 25. As we see some replays here, here is that absolute dime of a pass. You can't throw it any better than that. That's what we're talking about. You're going to let up some points potentially if it's an absolute perfect pass, but here is that blocked kick, more or less, that just right into the breadbasket. And that punt, I believe, was actually taken, or excuse me, that extra point was, I believe, taken by, but here, nonetheless, here's Mullet with that outstanding call, a special teams coordinator, all the confidence in his team to pull off a fake punt pass.
Yeah, you can't draw it up any better, and this just finds the open zone, is able to catch it just in the right place at the right time. You can't draw it up any better. And then, of course, the going for two, the 2-point conversion, just wide open. Number 4 from Kenosha just is able to block it, basically just using his body, making sure nobody can get around him, so that way he can get a free way into the end zone.
Wow, you mentioned that zombie arms on the block punt. He didn't even have to dive. Again, it's that one thing. It's that missed assignment here. It's that, I'm sure it's frustrating. One thing that Coach Haas said in our conversation yesterday, he said, look, Lowe has become very, very vocal. He said, and not to say that, because you always hear the phrase, okay, well, I'm not necessarily a vocal leader, but I show it, on the field. He said Lowe had to step up, and I'm sure he's saying a lot at halftime today.
Yeah, I think he is, especially, too. You look at it, and I think he puts most of that on himself, too. Being able to just hit those miscues, just not be able to get the ball in the right place. But at the same time, that offensive line needs to be better. They've just been missing those cues. That rushing yards needs to go up. You can't have -2 for the entire first half. That needs to be a vocal point of this offense from this point, especially having a good running back in Bryce Frank, being able to just put his shoulder down and lower and run over somebody. It's just got to keep going for Carthage.
We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, second half action, as you can only find it along with the out-of-town scoreboard right here on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Welcome back, Firebirds Broadcasting Network. I'm Peter Ferreri alongside my broadcast colleague Tylor Sorensen. Upcoming schedule, women's soccer versus Carroll this Wednesday. Saturday the 7th, it's going to be football, North Park. We're right back here. You're with me on that one, right, Tyler? Okay, not banning me just yet. Following Wednesday, the 11th, women's volleyball, once again a conference match against Milliken. And then back on Saturday, October the 14th, women's soccer taking on Wheaton, and men's soccer versus Wheaton as well. Looking at those overall stats, Tyler, we showed it a few times. One thing that you said during our break is you would really like Carthage offensively to establish the run.
Yeah, because once you establish that run, the passing game opens up. We talked about this a little bit beforehand at the first quarter, but once you're able to do that, you can start getting that play-action pass going. You can start taking those shots down the field, but you got to just keep that running game going. Get that defense worn out. Get those longer drives that you want to start to establish, and that I think that Carthage can do. They can do this against this Elmhurst team, but they just got to get that momentum going back on their side and take it away from Elmhurst's grasp.
Let me ask you, we've talked a lot about Carthage and maybe the adjustments, what they have to do. Elmhurst, again, looking at their situation, you're ahead 14-0, having a few trick plays, but also you've stuck to what you know to do best. You played sound defense, and you've created those opportunities as well.
Yeah, you really have, and it's just one of those things too, where Elmhurst just has to keep what they're doing. Yes, they've been able to stick in it and get those nice shot plays with the nice punter pass and all that stuff, but they're able to get this offense going. As we see a pooch kick almost.
Oh my goodness, Elmhurst might have it. As you hear the sideline and the coaches, and the Blue Jays come away with it.
That cannot happen if you are Carthage. You got to have situational awareness, and right there, Carthage had none. You saw the second guy. I don't remember what number it was. Just sort of turn around as we see a replay here. You see their secondary guy just sort of turn around and start blocking instead of picking up the ball. Like, he has to fall on that thing right away.
As no other way to say it, situational awareness. And we stated 30 seconds ago, the Blue Jays creating their own opportunities once again on the kickoff, taking advantage of Carthage just expecting your standard kickoff, and nonetheless, here we are, Blue Jays already on the other side of the 50, handoff to the right, and that will be stuffed right at the line. So once again, the defense standing tall, Oliver Cox.
Yeah, they're standing tall, but like you said, they just got to be situational awareness. And luckily there they were, but now momentum is still in Elmhurst's grasp. You don't have that momentum starting to go, and even more now Elmhurst has more momentum coming out of halftime, getting that kickoff, making sure they can get the ball back. It's basically like they receive the ball at their own 40.
Second down and a long 10. Elmhurst has not converted the field goal this year, so you can pretty much say everything is four-down territory right now besides the occasional punt or punt pass. Motion out of the backfield, sends a wide receiver to the right. He's clear with the official. Looking left, nice slant pattern from the far side. Hit hard, bounces off of it. Tackle at the very end by Cohen Abreu out of Mililani, Hawaii.
Yeah, that was a great slant, making sure that he can get yardage, and now it's 3rd and 2, making sure you can get closer to the sticks. That way your playbook opens up a little bit more than it would be if it was 3rd and long.
Gain of 8 on the play.
Tons of fans still in attendance here today, starting to make their way back to the field after an outstanding halftime performance by the cheer and dance squad, as well as it seemed a majorette and some flag throwers. And that will result in a 4th down and 2. Can't imagine they don't go for it here.
Yeah, no, I think they would go for it, but I think they even lost the yardage there. But hey, you gotta be supportive of Carthage's defense right there, making that stop. It's good. It's 3rd and short. You got to make sure you can stop the run first, and that's exactly what they were able to do.
Fourth and 2 from the Carthage.
4th and 2. Right now calling for the play defensively, Nick Levy trying to line up his teammates. Let it be noted that Ethan Ivan not in the defensive lineup right now. Roll out to the right. Oh, what a nice catch on a beautiful timing pattern. A Blue Jay is down. It is not, however, Acosta. So let's try to look what happens on the far sideline. I believe it's a lineman, could be left tackle Javon Manuel.
A gain of 7 and an Elmhurst first down. First and
78.
10,
And indeed it is.
20-yard line.
That's rough, especially being a left tackle. You got to make sure that that's your quarterback's blind side, or that left side. It's the quarterback's blind side. You got to make sure you're upright and healthy. And with him going off, now it's going to become a little bit of a fracture. You don't really have that relationship now with your backup because you don't really get enough play time with him. So it's going to be rough. You got to make sure, hey, you know what you're doing. I know what I'm doing. Because a lot of times, some of these linemen, they have their own hand signals for stuff. They know when to pass stuff off, and it's going to be rough coming back, especially with him being out.
So it looks like, waiting to see who the new left tackle his number is. Looking to pass off the right side, falling down, getting the reception is going to be number 81 for Elmhurst, Jeremiah Chima. I believe Larson Lovelace, the senior from Champaign, is who is subbed in.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. And I mean, if you're able to move to whatever position you want to, whatever position you can play, that's the best thing you can do as an offensive lineman. You got to learn every single position on that front five.
So Lovelace, your right guard, has shifted to left tackle. And number 55, George Calavantis. Nice job just finding an open gap, turning around. The Cockerels show time and time again showing itself here. And we have a penalty. And not quite sure what this is going to be on. It might be a little bit of aggressiveness after the play.
Yeah, I think it was. I think 45 was trying to step over one of the Elmhurst offensive linemen and ended up kneeing him in the back of the head, which you can't see. You can't do that, especially in college football. Especially at any level, you cannot do that, even if it's an accident.
So it looks like here, Caden Cornell is still in at right tackle.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 45 on the defense, half the distance to the goal, automatic first.
That is a tough penalty to take.
It's the first, towards 2.
Don't want to play the what-if game right now, Tyler. If you are forced into a fourth down situation again, do you go ahead and try to take a field goal attempt? Because, again, right now, 3 scores is fairly an insurmountable lead based on what we've seen by Carthage. Do you try to get the field goal just so you have that opportunity, or do you still try to go for it on fourth down?
I would still try to go for it on fourth down. I might line up in a field goal first just to see what they look like and then maybe transition it over, but...
And off to the right, making his way all the way down to about the 2.5-yard line.
That looked like it was a direct snap to the running back.
Yeah, that's what I think it was as well. Zach Norman. So, yes, direct snap to Norman. Some bit of trickeration. Second and goal now. Firebirds need a stop. They've gotten them when it's come to crunch time. But again, the defensive linemen, they don't, I don't want to make the assumption they've been on the field a lot. And it's going to get tough with that time of possession as it continues to favor the visiting Blue Jays of Elmhurst. 2-man sack. Down goes Acosta. And the defense stands tall, led by Jordan Hughes, the Chesterton High School product.
Yeah, that was amazing, just being able to get that pressure right off the edge, making sure they can get it. And now it's third and long with 3rd and goal, so you can't get that first down. You have to either go for the end zone or just try to go for it on all 4 downs if you don't want a field goal.
Acosta held on to it just the slightest play or slightest moment longer and allowed for those defenders to get there. When it's those quick snap type plays, if it's not first read, throw it away. That's more than once now Acosta's held onto it and taken the sack. So we're kind of seeing, as we'll get to more on that in a moment, he looks right, slant pattern, nobody there, and you're allowed contact within 5 yards. So not quite sure what the intent was. Seth Desmore looks like he was potential the intended wide receiver, but we have the kicking unit coming on. And it looks like the kicker this time to be number 46, Boston Bauer.
Arroyo set to try a 28-yard field goal.
So not even the listed kicker of McCarville. Up and wide left. No good by Boston Bauer. It had the distance and the height, but just went wide left off that near hash. Once again, a turnover by Carthage in the sense of they didn't recover the kickoff. Resulted in no points for Elmhurst.
Yeah, and if you're Elmhurst, you want that one back. You started at the Carthage 40 with all the momentum in the world, and luckily for Carthage, they were able to stop them. But
you're on the 2.5-yard line.
Yeah, you
and decide to pass and get sacked.
Yeah, you need to make that, and that's another reason why too. You got to make sure you get that running game going, something that both these teams have been struggling with so far today.
Handoff, room, tripped up at the very end is Bryce Frank. But think about it, before halftime, Elmhurst in the red zone, albeit no timeouts, but with 20 seconds left, they get sacked trying to run around, and again, missed opportunities abound offensively for Elmhurst to have even gotten more points.
Yeah, it really is, especially when you're given a free first and goal with a stupid mistake by one of the Carthage players getting a personal foul. It's just rough for Elmhurst. You got to try to make that. You try to make that go.
Keeping it himself, getting a block to the far side, at least getting the first down. Checking in for the Firebirds is William Zuderveen, the 6-foot Kalamazoo, Michigan product. So there indeed is one of those switch ups, as Lowe is coming off the field right now as well. So Zuderveen stays in, as well as Ishmaeli checks back in. So again, right now we talked about it, Lowe kind of gingerly favoring that right leg. So maybe here's where you get some more of those, QB options.
Yeah, QB options to try to get your best athletes the ball, like what Coach Dustin Haas was saying week 1 with us.
Handoff to the right, bouncing it to the outside. 4 yards in a cloud of dust. Once again by Bryce Frank.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I was saying before. You got to get that running game going. Even though it's not big chunk gains, it's not 15, 10 yards. Those nice 1st and 10, you get that 4 yards. Now it's 2nd and 6, second and manageable. You're able to keep it going, and that's what you need to do. You got to try to consistently sustain these drives, and especially, too, you're taking time off the clock. So if you do score here, then maybe you can go in, get a 2-point conversion, and take the lead with late in the 4th.
Keeping it himself, trying to find the corner, but a loss of about 2. 3rd and 9 as Lowe looks to come back out, being a passing situation.
Brought down behind the line of scrimmage by Vasco.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he does come in here, especially with this being a passing situation, or have both come in. But it looks like Lowe is coming back in. But now Elmhurst should realize this and be like, hey, it could be a passing situation more than likely, because we see Lowe coming back in, is not really rushing a lot. 12 came in just to sort of run the ball around, so now you got to be aware of that.
Trips left is the situation. The complex Panthers they've used as that near sideline. Let's see if they go for it again. They look far sideline this time. Comeback route. Nice catch, Ishmaeli. They went to the far side. One-on-one coverage as Lowe looks to be coming right back out, or to talk to his teammate Kyle Jesse, one of the quarterbacks, who seems to be helping calling all the plays today. So Lowe stays out there. But again, I think, as you stated, when Lowe's in there, defensively, if you're the Blue Jays, you got to be saying to yourself, we got to favor the pass. Lowe right now not doing much of the running.
Yeah, no, they really haven't. And now with Lowe still back out there, now it could be a rush, especially with them starting to get that up, which it looks like it is.
Lowe hands off to Frank. A flag immediately thrown. Frank is pointing at the defensive side, but it might be a downfield hold. Or it could be an offside. So a lot of chatter, a lot of finger pointing. Let's see what the official result is.
Holding. Offense. Number 76. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot.
Yeah, I kind of felt that when Frank broke through and had a wide open lane and immediately saw the flag, you don't want to ever try to predict it, but it seemed that, of course, that was going to be a hold. So another good gain brought back first and a long 20.
Yeah, and of course that was on left tackle Ryan Lankin. You can't be doing that if you're a left tackle. I get that it's a little bit of a draw, but that's one thing that you got to make sure you don't get caught doing. A lot of linemen are taught nowadays to hold and make sure you don't get caught, but once you get caught, then it's like, hey, you got to stop doing that right away.
Trips to the left, roll out to the left, moving pocket, pass for about a gain of 6 more, and a penalty. And that might be on the defense.
There is a penalty marker on the play.
Catch again by Jordan Wiles. Be intrigued to see what this call is. Potential horse collar, maybe?
Personal foul. Face mask. Defense. Number 42. 15, automatic first down.
The proverbial, you can't do that. So now the penalties are starting to mount for the Blue Jays. They already had more penalties than Carthage. But the reason I say that is now they're starting to really favor Carthage in an opportunistic way.
Yeah, no, they really are. Now, especially with this momentum gaining, it's going to be all Carthage starting to get this momentum going.
4 players in the backfield. Handoff on the middle, bit of a bobbled snap. I believe, I'm going to see who came away with that. That was, once again, 89, Orlandino.
Gain of a yard.
Don't mind the play. Try to see something else that works. They've had some lanes for running the ball, and that's one of the strategies you mentioned at halftime for a key to the second half, and that was trying to reestablish the run. So they've done a decent job so far, second and about 9.5. 2 in the backfield. Lowe looks deep, rolling out. Wiles is covered. Trying to tell Wiles, because Wiles kind of stopped at the sideline. Hey, turn up field and I'll get it to you.
Yeah, trying to do that scramble drill. If you see your quarterback running out of the pocket, make sure you can get his line of sight and get downfield if you can. I believe he had number 81, Gavin Betts, a little bit open, a little bit inside, right around the 20.
That,
But I mean, hey, when you're scrambling and you can't really see that, you're just sort of looking down one guy. You just got your best bet is try to chuck it as far as you can. And hey, that's what he did. Made sure he got out of bounds, so that way it's not a loss of down or that's why it's just a loss of down and not an interception.
3rd and 9. Trips to the right. A bit offset right now is Wiles. Motion in, Ishmael. Pump fake. Throwing to Ishmaeli, Not going to be enough for the first, so I appreciated the pump fake. The window wasn't there, so he waited a second, got it to him. Gain of about 3, so not quite what they wanted as a result. Defense really went to Ishmaeli and to Wiles. So 4th down, 6 to go. Tylor Sorensen, Pete Ferreri, Firebird Broadcasting Network. Already down to 4:19 in the 3rd. Carthage, 4th down. The rollout. And throwing to no one. And there will be a flag downfield. Throwing his hands up, Gavin Betts, and we may have a defensive pass interference or holding.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if also I could see an offensive pass interference too, because it looked like he just ran downfield and started blocking instead. So it could be on Carthage instead. We gotta just wait to see what the call is.
Defense. Automatic first down.
Defensive holding is the call. The offensive lineman right now for the Firebirds trying to get the fans back into this game. That's that home field advantage that is so crucial, especially on a homecoming game. So you'd love to see the Firebirds be able to put some points on the board.
Yeah, you really would, especially with them having the ball for the majority of this third quarter, even though they didn't get the ball right away with that botched kickoff return, but keeping the ball for the majority of this third quarter is exactly what you want to do if you're Carthage.
Motion block for Frank. Does he have the corner? Outstanding open field tackle by Reeves. Reeves has been all over the field defensively. As you stated in the pregame, one of the best tacklers in the CCIW.
Yeah, he really has a neat. We're seeing it now too. He's just everywhere all at once. I think every other play we're talking about him making a tackle or being near the tackle. He really has a nose for the football.
Not that it might bear any mentioning. We'll talk about it in a second. Low, hands off to Frank, cuts back up, has a seam. He's going to go nearly untouched. Touchdown! Firebirds, their first touchdown of the game, and they are within one score. And out for the extra point, Sebastian Haskey.
Yeah, that was great for Carthage, making sure that's what you wanted to do this entire drive. You were establishing the run, establishing one, and the second that Bryce Franks is able to cut up and get upfield, something he's known for, he's able to score 6 right away.
So what I was going to mention is that Haskey was warming up on the sideline, not Enkevich, up and good. That touchdown today brought to you by Haribo, for all the best gummies around, just south of Kenosha. Haribo. 14-7, you scored that scoring drive. My goodness. Penalties have helped Elmhurst, this time favoring Carthage, and they took advantage.
Yeah, they really did. Those penalties making sure, like, hey, we can keep this drive going. That defensive holding, that could have, if that wasn't called, that would have been tough. As we see this replay, look at this, look at the hole right there. A truck could have driven through it. That's exactly what Bryce Franks wants. Just doesn't even have to lower his shoulder anyway. Just basically runs up, standing up, gets tackled 6 yards into the end zone. But hey, he's already there. Why are you carrying?
Yeah, one thing, and then so 2 things to mention right now is lining up now for the kickoff is Enkevich. Enkevich did not take the extra point attempt. It was backup kicker Sebastian Haskey. Not quite sure what the methodology is. Maybe because I don't know. But something to keep in mind is that you had your other kicker get that opportunity for the extra point. Lined up Enkevich. Sends it to about the 10-yard line on the far sideline. Looking for a seam. Sideline. Turning upfield, getting pushed out of bounds just at about the 46-yard line. What a return by Elmhurst.
That almost was the seam opening right there. He returned it for 6. Luckily, Enkevich was there, I believe. Laid a hit, made him slow down a bit for the rest of the Carthage to show up and be able to make that tackle, but you cannot be doing that on a kickoff return. On a kickoff, you have to make sure all seams are taken care of, and he can't get around you guys.
So right now the offense is huddled up, the offensive line, long conversation with the offensive coach saying, hey, we got to do that again. Falling forward for about 4 yards is Elmhurst. They'll have 2nd and 6.
Brought down by Ludwig.
That drive, as you mentioned, it's like you've played in coach football before, Tyler. They needed to establish their run to get anything going. They did, so they weren't having to be forced time and time again to rely on the pass.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want from teams. It's rough, especially when you're a very pass-heavy team. We see it in the NFL a lot, that you like to go away from the run a lot. And these teams, especially in college, you can't be doing that, as we see another run from Elmhurst.
So Elmhurst looks like they're trying to do the exact same thing right now
Burnett on
and
the
establish a
carry.
run of their own. Coming out of halftime, both teams in the negative for rush yards.
Gain of
Yeah, both
3
teams
on
at
the play.
-2, and now I'm trying to find it, but I believe Carthage is
Car-
up.
Yeah, Carthage 38 rushing yards total on 14 attempts. 22 attempts for -1 rushing yards for the visiting Blue Jays. Line up to pass. Acosta getting pushed from the left side. Tries to throw while falling down. Avoids the sack. Outstanding play defensively. Garrett Warner, the defensive back, came on the blitz.
4th down.
And I believe Acosta, not quite sure what the injury is, but pointing toward his leg. Could be a cramp.
Other scores
Getting
around the
helped off the
CCIW
field,
after
so
2 quarters of play. Carroll
again, we'll be
6
intrigued to see this the
and
second
10.
time there's a potential for a backup, but nonetheless, it's 4th down. They're not going for it. Punt unit comes out.
Yeah, punt unit comes up, but hey, last time we saw the punting unit, they did end up going for it on 4th down.
Yeah.
So they
Oh,
could
you're correct.
they could be doing that again, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a punt deep in, try to keep Carthage away from this goal line, but we just gotta wait and see.
Wiles back to retrieve the punt. Almost a block. Don't run into the punter that time. Nice overarching punt. It's being picked up right at the 10-yard line. Carthage momentum going in their favor right now.
Caught for a 38-yard punt. Carthage
You know, we
takes
talked
over.
about the defensive prowess for both
10-yard
teams,
line.
and we'll go over some of the stats for both these teams in a minute, but really flipping things around now is Carthage, as discussed, 14 rushes, 38 yards, and an outstanding job, a 3-and-out after a huge return from the kick return team for Elmhurst.
Yeah, it really is, and especially now with that defense stepping up. We've seen glimpses of the Carthage defense stepping up, and now they're finally able to make another stop. Something that I know that they're going to hang their hat on this entire day. Now it's just the offensive's turn to make a play.
Low with the slant, Ishmaeli. He's gone off to the races. He breaks a tackle, going all the way down to the 15-yard line on a slant route. My goodness, the biggest play of the game for the Firebirds. Tylor, what an outstanding pitch and catch. Low, Ishmaeli, and then the rest was Ishmaeli putting on the Jets.
Yeah, and that's exactly why you want to establish the run. Last drive, they hammered the run hard. They go with that nice play action fake, RPO style slant. Perfect execution by Arjun Ishmaeli, making sure he's in the right place at the right time. Low being able to look at it, perfectly delivered it, and now it's already at their 15.
Handoff in the middle. There will be a penalty flag. Mark Hunter out of Lake Villa, Illinois, in for the
Hunter on the carry. There was a
carry,
marker on
but
the play.
potentially a early holding call once again. We'll wait and see what the official call is, but it looks like they're going to be moving back a few yards.
Holding. Offense. Number 75. 10-yard spot. First.
Hopefully that's not the momentum killer if you are a Firebird fan. If you are a fan of the Blue Jays, that at least gives you a little bit of a deep breath. But nonetheless, first down and a long 20. Carthage is firing, though, on all cylinders.
Yeah, and that was called on starting center Matt Johnson, who did not actually start this game today.
Trips right, roll out right. A lot of pressure. It's a throwback. Missed block. Still cutting in. Nice bit of trickeration for Clayton Markich out of Oshkosh.
Low pass is complete to Marquette.
And I'm sure number 74
Brought down by
would want that back, as we see on the replay. He gets out in front and just misses the blocker. That could have gotten a lot more yards.
Yeah, that's the difference between a 6 points or 20 yards right there. You just got to make sure you can break down just a little bit faster and hit your guy. But luckily, he was still making, even though the tackle got made in the backfield, he still tried to make a play and hit that other guy in front of him.
Motion into a bunch formation. Went with the slant over the middle, and an easy 6 for the Firebirds. Number 13, Gibson Groves, brings it home, and the Firebirds are within 1 point of tying the contest.
Yeah, and if you look back at the beginning of this half, you would not think that they're in this position. Getting that muffed kick return, it must have just sparked something in Carthage saying, hey, we're not going to lose this game off of mistakes. We're going to go drive down, and we're going to make plays, and that's exactly what they've been doing so far in the third quarter.
What a turn of events. In for the extra point is Haskey. Lining up with the right toe. Line drive, and that is good, just inside the left bar. And we are tied at 14 apiece. My goodness, Tyler, like you said, this was a situation where it was kind of doom and gloom after that opening kickoff of the second half. Next thing you know, Elmhurst can't convert, misses the field goal that would have made it 17-14, and immediately the defense stood tall for the Firebirds, and the offense just started matriculating down the field. Also helped by a huge play by Ishmaeli, as Ishmaeli right now, 5 catches, 110 yards. Groves comes away with a touchdown on 2 catches. But looking at the numbers now, really favoring the Firebirds.
Yeah, it really is. 253 passing yards. A lot of those just came in the third quarter. Hitting those strides, making sure you can get your athletes the ball, and making sure you hit them in stride too. They're not just falling down right away. Something we saw a lot in the first quarter, or first half actually. Now we're actually hitting them while they're in stride, make sure they can get some plays and get some yards after the catch, making some moves and everything like that.
And Kevich looking for the kickoff. Firebirds have tied it. I'm intrigued to see who's going to come out at quarterback. Oh, bit of a pooch kick, but goes right into the outstretched arms of the front line of defense, and there is a penalty. And Kevich kind of shakes his head. Head coach Haas is literally throwing his hands up saying, what are you doing? Or what happened? So I don't think it's going to be a
kicking team. Be a 5-yard penalty assessed from the end of the kick. First down.
As Kevich takes his helmet off in frustration, walking with the kicking tee. Could have been a slipped. Could have been, I don't want to say it wasn't called, but when the coach kind of says, what happened? Not quite sure. But nonetheless, back in at quarterback is Acosta. So Acosta healed up enough to get back out there. Game tied with 20 seconds remaining in the third. Shotgun. Looks deep to the left side. He's got a receiver, and that will be pass interference called. It was underthrown to Cockrell. If that was thrown on the mark, that would have been another 6.
Yeah, it looks like we're back in that first quarter again. Just a nice little one-on-one, trying to let your receiver go get it, and it's just underthrown just barely. But it looks like we do have somebody down for the Blue Jays, number 72.
Looks like Caden Cornell, the sophomore lineman. Potentially a cramp. Again, talk me through this really quickly, Tyler. When you have a situation as this, where it's unusually hot for this time of year, it tests your fitness, and it makes sure that, if you're not staying hydrated, you can still cramp up.
Yeah, it really is. But luckily, with Carthage being right on the lake, you are getting that lake wind, so it's a little bit cooler. But it's still rough. You got to make sure you're hydrated. Something we saw week 1. We saw a lot of cramping week 1 for both sides, and it's just starting to rear its ugly head here, especially late in the games. They're starting to get a little bit dehydrated, running around. Especially as a big boy, you're going to be sweating a lot, especially with this weather. But luckily, it looks like it might have been just a cramp, so he might have sit out for one play. But he'll be back in soon enough, as 54 comes back in as right tackle now.
RPO, pass out to the right side. Making a move back inside, back to outside. Good awareness by Gabe Holtke.
Costa's pass is complete.
Just missing at the outstretched arms was Kona Abreu, the Roosevelt High School product. With 7 seconds left, that should just about do it for the third quarter of action. And there's the whistle. At the end of 3, Firebirds have found their way back into this one. We are tied at 14 apiece. Blue Jays driving will take a timeout, a thrilling fourth quarter ahead on the Firebird Broadcasting Network.
Fans, at this time, we would like to recognize the 2023 Carthage Athletics Hall of Fame inductees who were inducted into the Hall of Fame last night. The inductees include Stephen Schrank, Danny Morse, Amanda Santa Romana, Christina Leeser, James Flanagan, and your voice of the Redmond Firebirds, John Weiser.
And we're back, Firebird Broadcasting Network, out-of-town scoreboard. Cockrell with the pitch fake on the direct snap himself. And already a flag.
Cockrell on the carry.
So for Tylor Sorensen, Pete Ferreri waiting for whether this official calls might be a holding. It was a very quick flag moments after the snap. And we'll get the official word. So holding is going to be the call. Moving the Blue Jays back a few. Penalty ready for this. Kind of breaking up a bit. I think they reset the clock. Penalties 10 for 85 right now for Elmhurst. So not what the doctor ordered for the Blue Jays, but they are still on the Carthage side of the 50.
Yeah, they are, and especially with that amount of penalties, you would think this would be a lot more one-sided than it is. Not tied at 14 heading into the fourth, but the Blue Jays have been making some pretty good plays, deep passes, and just being able to. And it's just sort of like they're beating themselves up every once in a while.
Quick out pattern to the right to Cockrell. Good job getting about 9 of those yards back. The timing's been there all day for the Blue Jays. It's more so as Acosta have his rhythm. You know, we talked about that pass interference right before the end of the third quarter. Again, if if Acosta lets that go one hitch earlier, it's 6 points.
Yeah, it really is, and it's just something that's growing pains, especially as a young quarterback, since Acosta is only a sophomore, something we've mentioned a lot.
Yeah.
But he carries himself with the poise of a senior, it seems like, at points.
4 wide. Giving a signal to the receivers to the left. Looks left. Has to fumble! Looks like picked up by the Blue Jays. Acosta looked left. It looked like a stop and go route. We won't necessarily see what happens with the receivers, but I want to see who swiped it away. Oh, he just ran into his own offensive lineman. He brought the ball down to his hip to potentially run or swim around the lineman. The end of the football went right into the rear of one of his linemen. It is 3rd and 17.
At least it wasn't another Mark Sanchez situation where they ended up losing the ball, but they were able to get it back. But now it's 3rd and long. something that's going to be rough for Elmhurst here.
Trips left, but press coverage near the outside. They decide to go over the middle on a crossing pattern. Cockrell moves up a bit. You know they're not going to go for it from this long of a distance. 0 for 1 on field goals today. So Cockrell gets a few, but it's going to be 4th and 10, so it's manageable.
Yeah, it is manageable, but again, this is deep in Carthage's territory, and they have also been doing fairly well in defense so far in the second half. They've been able to stop them a lot, and especially with this loud crowd, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to do something fancy here.
2 to the left, 1 to the right, tight end off right tackle. The isolation is there to the right if they decide to do a fade pattern. Let's see. There's the rollout. There's the fade. Not able to get there. Good coverage. Acosta threw it a bit out of bounds anyway. And it's going to be a turnover and downs.
Yeah, it looks like the wide receiver just went a little bit too far wide. He wanted to try to cut that off right at the last second, but instead he just sort of went right away. Like it was sort of like a fake corner route. It just ended up going out of bounds completely.
So we kind of predicted that might be the call. Next time in action, October the 7th, next weekend, North Park coming to Kenosha to take on the home Firebirds in CCIW action. Just like that, Carthage now has an opportunity to take the lead. Strong pressure to the right. Low. Wobbler over the middle. Oh, my goodness. Gavin Betts is going to have nightmares about that one. If he catches that, there is nobody in front of him.
Yeah, there was. I think there's maybe one person, but even then, he was out. He was way in front of it. Just bounces right off of it. Doesn't even look it in. Just he was excited for that touchdown, already thinking it in his head.
That would have sent Art Keller Field into a firestorm. But nonetheless, slant Ishmaeli goes up, gets the tough catch, gets the first down. That slant pattern off the right side to Ishmaeli has been successful all day. Successful yet again.
Yeah, Arjun Ishmaeli just being that versatile weapon. We talked about it week 1, just being everywhere all at once. And now we're starting to see it again in the second half, just being everywhere around the ball, making sure he can try to make those plays and help Carthage keep this drive going.
14-all. Carthage on the move. Already a first down. The prior pass was a potential 6 that was dropped. Low. Over the middle. Slant pattern. Oh, just past the outstretched hands of Jordan Wiles. Sure-handed is Wiles, the 5'10 senior. But just a bit too far. But again, you'd rather that than an underthrow. Risk of an interception or incompletion.
Yeah, but I know Bryce is going to be wanting that one back. Just hit it to a little bit closer. A little bit closer he could have been there, but now it's second and 10 from their own 38.
And might be a false start. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a false start. Moving Carthage back 5.
Grounded out. False. That's 5-yard penalty.
That's a tough call. Players were looking to get set, but nonetheless, they felt they were set enough that movement sends them back 5.
Yeah, that's one of those things that's very, very touchy, especially with offensive linemen. You got to make sure you're set. But even if you're not set, you can still move a little bit, but you can't move forward. But again, these refs have been. We started this game saying they like to let them play. So far, we've seen that that's not been the case.
Roll out to the left. Backup quarterback is in the game. Looking for the quick out pattern. Another drop by Betts. That is 2 drops in the last 2 attempts his way. In at quarterback was Zuderveen.
Yeah, Gavin Betts is going to want that one back again too. Just doesn't look it in completely. Trying to make sure he's inbounds, but doesn't. You got to look the pass in first. Make sure you can catch it.
So this will be, not that any play call is not interesting, but this one particularly, do you try to get a few back to make it 4th and short? Do you go for broke and say, if we don't get it, we're going to punt? I'm very intrigued to see how they play this one out. Trips left, looking right. Is Schmally coming back? Is he able to keep a toe in? And I believe he is. Not enough, though. The defender, number 0, Jake Masco, was on Ishmaeli, but then peeled off when he thought Rowe may run. And as you see right there, it's kind of a situation where you know Rowe's not going to run all the way for the first, so if he doesn't peel off of that, Rowe's got nowhere to go.
Yeah, but that was just a great catch by Ishmaeli, making sure it's 4th and manageable if they wanted to go for it, but at the end of the day, they're just going to end up punting, and hopefully this almost blocked.
I was going to say, they already had one blocked, one tipped. So just kind of quickly getting off anything is Zankevich. And Elmhurst takes over at their own 30. Let's talk offensively really quickly. For this Elmhurst squad, Tyler, what do you have to do if you're the offense right now of Elmhurst? You had an opportunity at a touchdown, just kind of misguided. You know, the receiver, like you mentioned, shaded too far out of play. Acosta, 19 for 32, $195, 2 touchdowns, sacked 5 times.
Yeah, I think that's going to be rough for Elmhurst here, especially when you got to make sure you can continue to drive something that they haven't been able to do so far in the second half.
Handoff up the middle, getting a few yards. This time around was Zach Norman. Second down and about 6.
Brought down by Steed. Gain of 4 on the play, brings up 2nd and
I'm
6.
just dwelling back on those drops by Betts. He's 3 for 33, but that could have been at least 4 for a larger number than 33. Pistol formation, 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Dropping back to pass, swings out to the left side, making a run, breaking a tackle, and getting up to about the 47-yard line is 23 Zach Norman. Yet again, it's the Norman drive for Elmhurst, as we are going to be just under 10 minutes of action in the contest.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Elmhurst wants to do. They want to try to establish the run, but hey, that run, even though they haven't sort of gone through a whole drive with it, now they're starting to establish that running game. Even if it is like a swing pass here, a nice little dump off here to the running back, they're getting their running backs involved in making sure they can make some moves in the open space to try to get this defense rattled a little bit.
Shotgun formation, tight end offset to the left tackle, 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Acosta drops back immediately, looks right, tipped. Nice job defensively, number 99, Michael Sneed, the Lincoln Way West product, getting his name heard on this sunny Saturday afternoon in Kenosha.
Yeah, that was a great play by him, making sure his hand comes up at the right time, deflecting it. Because if he didn't, there was some green grass right there, and it would have been worrying for me for Elmhurst to see what they could have done with that green grass.
Yeah, I mean, could have turned up field, and who knows what could have happened. Elmhurst taking their time right now. 2nd and 10. Again, 207 passing yards for Acosta. It's not as if he's had an unsuccessful game. Rolls out right, quick pass, caught, breaking some tackles, making a move back inside. Touchdown saving tackle by the Firebirds. Last line of defense. Outstanding catch and run by McCarville.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm worried about. Those quick hitting outs has been seeming like it's been there all day so far today for both teams, and they have not found a way to be able to stop it. But you just got to make sure you can stop it first. But now, if you're Elmhurst, you just got to continue this drive. This is something that they would start to stumble and end up not making any moves here. So you just got to make sure you can finish this drive up completely.
8:50 remaining in regulation for Tylor Sorensen, Peter Ferreri, Firebird Broadcasting Network. Handoff to the left, wide open spaces, shoulders down, plows through, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. Number 34, Jonas Burnett, the Evansville, Indiana product. A powerful first down run.
Yeah, not to mention too that he's a freshman delivering that blow, running somebody over. Now that gets your blood pumping when you're a running back and you're able to do that. Now you're like, hey, give me the ball more. I can do more stuff with it.
Can the Firebird defense stand tall one more time? 8 minutes remaining in regulation, tied at 14 apiece. Acosta lines up. Hands off again. Burnett plows through, gets a few, but finally gang tackled at the end by the Firebirds. It only looks like to be a gain of about 3.
Yeah, but this is exactly what I was talking about. During halftime, both these teams need to establish the run, and they're finally able to do it in these last few seconds. But it's something that you need to establish in the first quarter. I get in the fourth quarter it's going to be more useful because a lot of these guys are tired, but it just needs to happen earlier so that way you can open up a lot more of your playbook. And now you're trying to dig at the scraps of your playbook and trying to see what can work.
Pistol formation. It's been successful with that offset tight end to the left. Man coverage. Here comes the blitzer off the right tackle. That looked to be a flinch, and there is a call. So that right tackle, not going to be happy about that one, is 72, Caden Cornell, who was injured for a bit.
Second.
And that will move them back a few. Talk to me through the mindset. You're an offensive lineman yourself, Tylor, and you realize or recognize they're about to be cover zero, and that linebacker that cornerback's about to come in. What's your mindset?
You just got to make sure you can call it out. One of these times,
Okay.
Obviously you saw him flinch, but especially with a 2-point stance like that, you can point to him. You can stand up and point, but you can't move. You can't flinch.
Yeah.
So you just got to be wary of that, something that's rough to do, especially when you have somebody that strength just bearing down at you as a screen pass gets swallowed up immediately.
It's the third time they've tried that running back screen over the middle, that time snuffed out immediately by Nick Levy, the Menominee Falls, Wisconsin graduate. And it tells you something when you're, glorified defensive tackle right over the middle, recognize, okay, fooled me once, fooled me twice, you're not getting me a third time, stops it right on the spot, 3rd and 13.
Yeah, that's a great notice by the defense of making sure, like, hey, it is a screen. I'm going to make sure I can do it. And it's the best bet. Either I tackle him or I try to get an interception.
Shotgun formation, 2 to the right, 1 to the left. He looks right, slant over the middle, green space in front of him, jukes it in, touchdown, Blue Jays, number 17, Gabe Holtke, and on 3rd and long, the Blue Jays go ahead by 6.
Yeah, the Carthage defenders just tried to bite it a little bit too much and ended up all of them just missing completely, trying to deliver that knockout blow, which they weren't able to do as one of Elkhorn's guys looks like just fall down.
It could be another cramp, but immediately Cockrell, he kind of slid down. It could be a crampage again. I never want to see anybody injured. I never want to guess as to what it may be. Tylor, talk us through this replay. My goodness. Ball was thrown before he even turned his head.
Yeah, that's just perfect pitch and catch. That's exactly what you train your quarterbacks and receivers to do. As soon as he's coming out of the break, that ball needs to be there, especially against the slant, because especially with the slant, you want to make sure you can get it either right before or right behind those linebackers. And that back there was just trying to biting on the backside one, completely forgot about the inside one, and he was just able to weave through Carthage's defense and score a touchdown.
Both teams successfully, Tylor, have deployed the double slant on the same side. It's got to be so hard for your linebackers and secondary to say, okay, well, which one are they going to go with? It can't be easy.
Yeah, it really isn't, because a lot of those times, too, especially against the zone coverage, it's very difficult to deal with because you have one guy basically covering both both slants at the same time, and especially if they're spaced out correctly, it's very difficult to do because one of them is entering your zone, the other one is leaving it. So you got to try to move fast, and a lot of times, especially if you hit it just right, like what Elmhurst just did, it can go for a big yardage gain.
Again, slowly walking out, Jake Cockrell, non-contact. He was not the one that got the touchdown. That was Holtke. A pivotal, crucial, pick what adjective you want, also important, extra point about to be at hand unless they decide to go for two. It looks like they are going to go for the kick. So extra point, Clayton Marketch, I believe. No, excuse me, mark that. Boston Bauer missed the field goal attempt. They went for two to give him 14. It's blocked. It goes back into Bauer's hands. Streaking like a speed of light is Jalik Barnes, the Ocala, Florida product, as he delivers a huge block on an extra point lead at 6.
Yeah, and that's one thing that you're very happy with right there, because now if you score, you're at 6. You don't have to go for 2 to try to win the game.
Yep.
You could just go for a straight field extra point. Whereas if they were to get it, then you're basically going to have to go for 2 no matter what.
Let's take a look on the spot. Again, this is whether it was when the punt block happened for Elmhurst or now this extra point block. Barnes just had a snuff on it, and you know, it was kind of like that, I don't know if you noticed that Patriots-Dolphins game from 2 weeks ago where one of the defenders for the Patriots just ran in and almost the kick was right into his midsection. So, outstanding job by Carthage. Now, you've already scored 2 touchdowns in the third. You have just under 6 minutes remain. This is where, put the cliches aside, do you have what it takes to come out victorious, to find the equalizer at homecoming? Kicked away at the 11-yard line. Return game has been fairly successful today, trying to cut it back inside. Number 21, Earl Jackson, the freshman.
Yeah, that was great. Making sure he could find the green grass, goes upfield too. Gets a pretty nice gain, especially for Carthage. Making sure they don't have any flubs. Great blocking too. If he was just able to make that one guy miss, there would have been a lot more green grass on the other side.
Still in the offensive line. Lakin over at left. At center, Matt Johnson. Lucas Kuzmirs at right. Situational quarterback getting tackled at the 41 as Zuderveen came in just to mix things up. As Lowe checks back into play.
No gain on the play, brings up second down.
So quick play called. What can the Firebirds deliver? Clock continues to tick, 5:15. Lowe gets the snap. Looks off to the right. Gain of about 5 yards. Clayton Markich.
That's exactly what you want if you're Carthage. You want to get those nice chunk gains. Obviously, you were hoping that first down play would gain more than just go back to the line of scrimmage. But hey, that's exactly what you'd want if you're Carthage. Get those chunk plays, get that time running, make sure that you're the last people to touch the ball and try to score, and make sure that, hey, Elmhurst does not have a chance, if we do score, a chance to get the ball back and drive it down the field.
Correction on an earlier play. Name of the backup kicker for Elmhurst, Malachi Correa. So Correa is who had that extra point blocked. Wobbler of a snap, looking over the middle, up, catch! Bringing it in all the way to the midsection, redemption, Gavin Betts.
Yeah, he's finally able to bring one in. Those last two must have been a nightmare for him, but hey, this time he's like, hey, I'm gonna reset, make sure I can get both my hands on it as the wobbler comes out. Bryce Lowe, just a perfect ball, makes it so that way he's only his wide receiver can get it, and that's what ended up happening.
Shotgun formation, offset tight end to the right, running back at the right hip, 2 right, 1 left. Low, drops back, out pattern. Defender looked to get there early. No call. Close play, bang, bang for Chris Reeves.
Yeah, and Arjun Ishmaeli is trying to plead his case, saying, hey, he got there too early. He was hitting me before the ball even got there. But these refs, every once in a while, they let them play, especially on those PI calls. They've been sort of dying off calling those. The false starts, obviously, they've been calling. The holds, they've been calling a lot. But those pass interference, they're just been like, hey, you guys do you. We're just going to let this game play out.
Back in the shotgun. Hands off to the left. Lane in the middle. Making a move all the way to the 11-yard line. Earl Jackson, the freshman, making his presence known. One of the rotational running backs for Carthage.
Yeah, that was just great running by Earl Jackson, finding the open lane, making sure he can get on it, and also while he's getting hit, making sure he's putting 2 hands on the ball. You don't want to turn over the ball here this late in the game and this far into the drive.
No, that's a great point. Now is not the time. You cannot afford a turnover. 3:20 remaining. Ishmaeli subbing out. Frank at the right hip of Love. Or Low. Low looks right. Out pattern. In. Isn't enough for a touchdown. And they're going to mark it down at the 1. Wiles, who's had a fairly quiet day. They've marked him so well. But nonetheless, 1st and goal from the 1 for Carthage.
Yeah, this is the best case scenario if you're Carthage. It's 1st down. You got 1 yard to go. I wouldn't be surprised if they just try to do a QB sneak right here, but that was just an amazing play call. Giving it the line as we see number 12, William Zuberdine, come in for Bryce Lowe, the rushing quarterback that we've been seeing a lot today. Maybe this tees off Elmhurst being like, hey, they got him in. It's more than likely going to be a run inside.
Shotgun formation, running back to the right. Let's see if they go with the run with it. They came with the rush, shoulder down. Oh my goodness, he got hit, and he got hit hard.
Yeah, he got stood up immediately, and then the second he got stood up, they were going right at that ball. Something that these guys are taught for, especially down here. You cannot afford a turnover, especially this late in the game. Something that could be rough as we see Lowe coming back in, giving them more options, it seems like. Well, as soon as William comes in, it's 95% of the time it's going to be a rush. But now with Lowe in, he could either give it off or he could throw it, or even we saw it as well earlier today. He was rushing a little bit. Obviously, he's been favoring that knee, but it gives him a lot more dimensions as at quarterback.
Motion to the left, looking left. Who's in the back of the end zone? Wiles! Oh my goodness, a highlight reel catch! Firebirds tie it on homecoming with 1:38 remaining in regulation. Catch of the day. Wiles is on fire.
Jordan Wiles, the 5'10 receiver, goes up and catches it over his own teammates, over 6'2" guys. He wants it bad, and that's a catch to make a highlight reel. He just throws a bench over because of how excited he is.
My initial thought was he was going short, as I believe that Betts had broken free, but decided to go for broke. An all-important extra point. Paskey up. Paskey wide left. And there is a penalty. Not quite sure if that's going to be marked off sides. Multiple flags, Tyler.
Hey, that's sportsmanlike. Number 7 on the kick.
So the backup kicker, Sebastian Haskey, called for unsportsmanlike unsportsmanlike conduct. And with 1:38, we're tied at 20.
Yeah, but watch this replay, making sure he can only get it himself. Gavin Betts was wide open, but you got to take that risk, making it so that way your guy can get it, has enough faith in him to just chuck it up there and making sure he can get it, but that was risky. I don't want to say that wasn't risky. That was risky when you have Gavin Betts wide open.
Wide open. Well, and my first thought was I saw Betts stumble out of his break but be open. So when I saw Lowe drop back to throw, I said, easy touchdown. Then I said, wait, that's not the trajectory the ball's going. Oh, my goodness, he's going for broke. And it worked. But right now, let's reset the scenario. Tylor Sorensen, Pete Ferreri, Firebird Broadcasting Network, CCIW, pivotal matchup between the Battle of the Birds, the Firebirds, Blue Jays, here in Kenosha, off the lake, Art Keller Field. Carthage assessed with a penalty, an unsportsmanlike conduct called against Haskey, resulting now in the kicking team being pushed back quite a few yards, really getting a lot behind it, and a fair catch called on the kick return. A rare fair catch called on the kick return. And that is number 17, Gabe Holtke, who got the, at then, go-ahead touchdown for the Blue Jays. Tylor, if you're the Blue Jays, I'm just asking the question, you have 3 timeouts, do you play for overtime, or you say, hey, we're looking to make our moment. We are looking to have a defining moment with our brand new head coach. Do we go for it?
Like I said before, I'm the risk taker.
Okay.
I'm going to go for it. This Carthage defense has stuffed you before when you had the ball within their own 20. They can stuff you, but I would just say go for broke. Might as well, as we see them starting to take a shot, but a fumble!
Fumble! Carthage may have recovered the fumble! Oh my goodness, it's a Firebird ball! Coming up with it, arms raised in a V, Cristobal Gutierrez Jr. Oh my goodness, the Firebirds can come away with a win!
He was making the plays all first quarter, and now he comes up with the ball. See ball, get ball. That's what he's been doing all day so far today, and is finally showing up, especially now with Carthage getting the ball back late in the fourth quarter, minute 32 left after that missed extra point. Now you have the chance to go up by a touchdown, something that you'd want, especially if Elmhurst is able to get that ball back late in this fourth quarter.
2 quick points. Acosta fumbled in a previous possession because the ball, he swung it by his hit and it hit the back of an offensive lineman. That time stumbled over himself. Low, hands off, a lane to the left, 10, 5, touchdown! Firebirds! Unbelievable play. They established the run. Bryce Frank. And with a minute 26, the Firebirds have their first lead of the afternoon.
Yeah, they do. Bryce Frank was I would say he was the energizer this whole quarter, getting that first touchdown, coming in untouched, now getting the go-ahead touchdown to give him the lead. But now starting kicker 43, Eric
Ankevich.
Thank you.
You're good. Hey, he hasn't been in besides kickoff, so Ankevich now. Can he extend the lead to 7? Kicking has been a challenge for both teams all game between misses and blocks. Mankiewicz in for the extra point. Line drive shot, and it's good. 27-20, the Firebirds rattling off a 27-6 run in this second half of action, which started midway through the third. Tylor, unbelievable turn of events.
Yeah, and that's exactly why you get your running game started. You get your running backs hyped up. You get their blood pumping. Bryce Frank knew he was in already. He was slowing down while he was at the 3-yard line. He knew he wasn't going to get touched, and now Carthage has the lead. But there is still a minute and 26 left in the clock. Elmhurst did drive down the field very, very fast a few times. So if we see that again, we just got to make sure the Carthage defense is able to get a stop, something that they've done well, and something that at the same time they have not done well at all.
Firebirds have been much better with their rack, their run after the catch, or yards after the catch if you want to use rack. Excuse me. With that being said, the air yardage per pass when Acosta's on the spot has far surpassed that of Carthage. And so we know that the Blue Jays can get it in the air.
Yeah, they really can, as we see Eric back there, hopefully to boot this one and pin the Blue Jays back in their own territory.
The kickoff picked up at the 2-yard line. Blue Jays looking far side, trying to come back. Outstanding wrap tackle on special teams. It comes up big. Roberto Dominguez, the Antioch, Illinois product, heads north to Kenosha and makes a huge special team stop.
Yeah, that was great. So far, all special teams for Carthage today has been a little bit rough, a little bit bumpy. You had that blocked punt. You had that miscue on the kickoff return to start the second half. Hey, now everything's firing on all cylinders.
So with 1:20, 3 timeouts, down 7. Acosta runs right, throws back to his right, intercepted! He tried to throw back across his body, and Jalik Barnes out of Ocala, Florida says that's going to be it. Let's finish things off with a huge come-from-behind victory. Barring anything crazy, there are still 3 timeouts. So if you're Carthage, Tyler, you still have to get a first down.
Yeah, you still have to get a first down, but the way that Carthage has been running the ball in the second half, I would just give it to them every single play, try to whittle the clock down and making sure, hey, even if we don't get a first down, we still want to take all their timeouts away from Elmhurst.
And it's just been announced, free cheese curds from Culver's.
I'll take that. Those cheese curds, they hit different sometimes.
Shotgun formation. Getting the snap, handing off in the middle. Frank, 5 yards, pounding it through. First timeout now for Elmhurst. Now, the reason I say it's not over yet, kicking has been an issue so far, minus that finally made extra point by Mankiewicz. If Elmhurst can hold Carthage to having to attempt a field goal, there is a potential. They've been blocked. Carthage has had a blocked kick. They've had missed kicks so far. They've rotated their kickers today. So a lot of game left to be played. A pivotal 2nd and 3rd down.
Yeah, it really is, especially if they aren't able to get this first down rushing. I never like to say that a game's over till it's over.
Yeah.
Because especially games like this, we saw it before. Elmhurst was able to get their first touchdown was a nice, almost 40-yard pass down the field, one-on-one coverage, beautifully covered. They just came up away with it. That can happen again at any moment's notice, especially if they get the ball back.
Low hands off, Frank. Moving through. Oh my goodness, it's going to be 3rd and a long one.
Brought down by Gooden.
So, playing the what-if game. Tyler Sorensen, Peter Ferreri, 27-20 comeback. So far for Carthage, proving fruitful. Do you consider throwing? And the only reason I say that is because they're going to sell out for the run. Do you do an RPO? Maybe a play action? I'm just thinking of scenarios.
I would not pass it.
Okay.
That's my thing. don't want to pass it. I don't want to give them a free stoppage of the clock.
Okay.
What I would do, though, I would do a zone read.
Okay.
Keep Bryce Lowe in there. Obviously, he's not moving around the best he can right now. Keep him in there, making sure that Elmhurst stays in their pass defense. They're still worried about that pass. But keep it and give it to Bryce Frank or give it to Bryce Lowe, the 2 Bryces in the backfield. Give it to one of them. Try to get them the first down. And even if they don't get it, hey, that's all 3 timeouts already used up right now.
Shotgun formation. There's the handoff to Frank. Lowers his shoulder, but multiple flags. Low calling for holding, so their own quarterback may have called. I don't believe it's defensive holding. We'll see, though. That could be a huge, huge opportunity for the Blue Jays.
Holding. Offense. Number 8.
So Orlandino called for the hold. Oh boy, Tyler. 3rd and 11, 56 seconds. Elmhurst 1 timeout, and it's at the 26. Oh, excuse me, that was on number 80, mark that. Colin Durian, the Kalamazoo Christian High School grad. Now do you consider passing?
Now I would.
Okay.
Now that it's a long 3, now I would consider passing, but I still would much rather just run the ball.
Yeah.
Run the ball with Bryce Frank, get him downhill, and get him to run somebody over.
And there is indeed the handoff. Frank, left side. Gains about 2. Elmhurst calls their final timeout, forcing Carthage to decide what to do. And this is going to be a huge huddle at the near side 30-yard line. Mankiewicz is coming out onto the field. Unclear of why we've had, and maybe not the question we asked Coach first off post-game, all the kicking changes. It could be a situation, I'm just playing the what-ifs. It could be where, all right, Haskey has the quicker release and more power. Maybe Mankiewicz has more of the accuracy. Again, speculation. But coming off the field right now is Mankiewicz. Low, staying on. They are going for the win. They are going for a first down.
See, this is the one time where I would say I don't want to gamble. I would much rather go for that field goal, get up by 2 scores, making sure that, hey, they can't just score and get a 2-point conversion and win the game.
Trips right. Watch for that slant pattern. Ishmaeli. There's that quick slant. Not even close. That's the 3rd time they've run that exact same play with Ishmaeli in the trips right package, coming up short, and he gets rocked. It will be slow to get off. With that being said, Tyler, Elmhurst still needs a touchdown. They have to go length of the field with no timeouts with 45 seconds remaining.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough one for Elmhurst right here, but, I mean, one play can be the whole difference.
Yeah.
We've seen that so far. We've seen it in multiple different areas, but now if you're Carthage, all you got to do is just hope your defense holds tall, something that they've been doing so far very, very well in the second half.
We saw a hook and ladder in their home opener. There's the slant pattern caught, making a run. Quickly getting down 35-yard line. 38 seconds on the clock. Huge pitch and catch. And there's the spike. Acosta goes down with it. Gabe Holtke, who got one of the touchdowns. "34 seconds remain." Nice job by the Blue Jays to utilize that middle of the field.
Yeah, that's the one thing you worry about, too, is if you're going to be down there fast enough to spike it, which they were, luckily.
3-3-5 formation, dropping back, running up Acosta. Fires right side. Oh, that's contact. Maybe they deem it wasn't catchable, but boy, oh boy, that could have been a penalty.
I'm surprised that was not a penalty. That looked like it could have been pass interference. He came up way too early to hit him, but I don't know. That's surprising to me. But like we said before, they've been very, very loose with the pass interference calls. I think there's only been one thrown so far today. Something that I'm surprised with, because I feel like a lot of the times you're going to get a lot more pass interference calls than you do holding, but it seems like it's been the opposite today.
Press coverage on the near side, still in the 3-3-5 formation defensively. Pressure up the middle. Acosta steps through it, fires to the right side on 3rd and 10. Incomplete. It's almost a good thing that Seth Desmore didn't come away with it, because that clock would have kept running. 22 seconds. This could be the game.
Yeah, it really could be, as long as Elmhurst does not convert on this. But we've seen it before. They've had a lot of these plays where it's 4th and long, 3rd and long, and they just are able to convert. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see something fancy come in from Elmhurst. But this Art Keller crowd is rocking.
Fans on their feet. Fence lined along the far side. Homecoming. Victory in their grasp. Breaking through. Acosta looking. Going deep. Over the middle. Oh my goodness. They're going to deem it incomplete. That's going to be it. As with 14 seconds left, the Firebirds can get into victory formation.
Yeah, if you're Elmhurst, this is going to leave a sour one in your mouth. You feel like that you probably could have gotten 2 pass interference calls, end up no calls at all, something that we've seen all day. But at the end of the day, Carthage just came out. They scored 27 unanswered points basically in the second half. You were up 14-0. You can't let your team go down like that. And I don't know what you say. Obviously, it's a first-year head coach, but you got to look back at this film and be like, hey, what can we do differently to ensure victory now next time?
And there's the victory. There's the kneel down. Firebirds taking the field with 3, with 2, with 1. And ladies and gentlemen, Carthage comes away in a huge come-from-behind victory. Tyler will have the post-game show shortly, but quick thoughts before we take our break.
I mean, that just sums up a homecoming game, doesn't it? Coming back in the second half, going down 14-0 in the first half, getting your fans riled up, hoping that, hey, we want to try to do something here special, and that ends up what happening as Carthage gets their first win on the season. First win in conference play, obviously. But I think now you look at it, you're like, hey, we can start to go on a streak here. Obviously, one is not a streak. You got to start winning to get a streak going. But I think you look back at the show and you're like, hey, our defense played tough all game. Obviously, they gave up some big plays here and there to go down 14-0. Our offense was starting to click in the second half. The only thing that worries me is that special teams, which, I mean, you can't teach mistakes, but that's something that you got to look at, especially if you're coaches, and be like, hey, what can we change here to make sure that our special teams are not making the mistakes that we need them to do.
Your final 27-20. Firebirds come back on a 27-6 run. Stick around, folks. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the post-game show with head coach Dustin Haas. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Welcome into the post-game show live here on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Coach, let's start with you. A huge win. Talk us through the result. Down 14-0 in the half, and then you rattle off a 27-6 run.
Yeah, we made some good halftime adjustments, coaching staff, players, and alike. But yeah, we dug ourselves an early hole, and I think we tried every way possible to lose the football game. But I think it speaks to our kids and their resolve and toughness. They fought their tails off all the way through.
Bryce, talk me through. You're looking at the sideline. We saw you get a little bit of tape on the right knee. You fought through that. We thought maybe there'd be a substitution. Talk to me through what you went through mentally to come back.
Yeah, I think we're just trusting the guys. Like, we all know we could do it. Like Coach Haas said, we were trying to lose this game. The first half, isn't the team that we are, and we came out second half. And I think we played the football that we all know we could. Our O-line, trust our O-line, then it's easy once you get the ball out to the wide receivers. I mean, those guys are all playmakers. So after that, it was pretty easy. Just knew I had to get the ball to the playmakers.
Sure.
Alrighty, Coach. So obviously coming into the second half, you guys had -2 rushing yards. Was the rushing game a point of emphasis coming into the second half, making sure you guys can get Bryce Frank and all those guys situated coming in?
Yeah, for sure. They started the game in a front they haven't shown yet, in 3 weeks, and I think that gave our guys up front a little trouble. And we were able to go through some adjustments at halftime on what we were going to do. Obviously, called some more outside run plays there, and you could see the result. They started hitting pretty good, and then we started rolling.
Yeah, and then Bryce, of course, that go-ahead touchdown to tie the game up. We saw Gavin Betts wide open. What did you see out there? Did not throw it to him.
We didn't see him.
Yeah, so when Gavin came in motion there, that corner came with him, and in practice all week, that's exactly what the scout team showed. And Jordan was wide open in the back of the end zone. So it would have worked out the same way, but as soon as Gavin cut out on the outside, the defender that was guarding him slipped, and he kind of slipped right in the coverage of Jordan. So my first read was a Jordan, and that's how it was all practice. Gave us a look with the corner, with him coming in. So I knew, like I said before, you got to trust the guys, and Jordan made a very nice catch.
Yeah, and he got up and got it,
yeah.
too. 5'10", going up that high, making sure he can make the play. And then, of course, also, to you guys, the defense stood strong all game today. What was sort of your takeaway from that, how well they played, even though giving up 14 points in the first half?
Yeah, I think it was another step in their growth. Obviously we're pretty young defense. We don't have a whole lot of seniors running around out there, and some of those guys are first-time players, and just adapting to the speed of the game and then the communication, everything that needs to happen. I think you could see them take a big step in understanding the level they need to play at, and I think they did a great job in some sudden change situations. We put them in some bad positions, and they got stops, which is what we needed.
Bryce, before I let you go, talk us through homecoming. What type of momentum does this give you going into next week against North Park?
I think it's going to give us a lot of confidence, especially being down at half and kind of showing we can go up, put 27 points up in a half. I think that's huge, and kind of gives us the confidence up front on both sides of the ball, and lets everyone know that we can win some football games. So I think we're all excited to get after it again on Monday and go win a big one next week.
Awesome. Coach, Bryce, congrats on your win, and go enjoy homecoming weekend.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
All right, again for Coach and Bryce, a huge win against the visiting Elmhurst Blue Jays. We'll take a quick timeout. When we come back, more postgame right here on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. back for the final time to the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Thanks for Coach Haas and Bryce Lowe joining us in that post-game show. Exciting is an understatement. This is one I'm going to go back and watch from home and listen to on the drive home potentially. But Tyler, we're going to look through really quickly. Let's look through the team stats first. Again, a first half that Carthage wasn't happy with. You heard it here. But at the end of the game, boy, oh boy, 85 rushing yards all in the second half.
Yeah, it really was. As we saw at halftime, both these teams were very, very similar. -2 rushing yards for both teams. Carthage, though, put the pressure on them completely, got 85 rushing yards to end the game with. So just completely, whereas Elmhurst ended only with 6. That's something you cannot do if you're a team. You gotta keep on pounding the running and making sure your athletes get balls. And then 322 passing yards. Bryce just was out there slinging it. Obviously, he made there's some plays where it looked like a little bit rough, but hey, he was out there getting the ball everywhere he could.
Yeah, and speaking of those individual efforts, Bryce Lowe, 315 passing yards, 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, and they came back from that interception. It wasn't as if that set them down. That was in the first half. Ishmaeli did a great job on the receiving end for 8 catches, 138 yards. Frank, 8 for 69 with 2 touchdowns, and DeVito, 8 tackles, 1 for loss. Is just a group effort, a victorious effort. Nonetheless, there's no other way to put it besides the amount of receiving and back and forth that went. Looking at the other side now for Elmhurst, Acosta 273 and 1, Holtke 6 for 120 and 1, Burnett and Masco doing a great job. I think the biggest thing, and it doesn't necessarily pop up in these statistics, the fumbles by Acosta, which truly, quote, cost them the game.
Yeah, that and also the interception just right at the end, giving Carthage the ball back so that they can come back and get that lead after that missed field goal, so that way they can go up by 7. It's something that you can't teach. You can't teach fumbles. You can't teach that stuff like that. You can only teach keep your hands on the ball. And unfortunately, they weren't able to do that. Acosta just was able to fumble, but that shows growing pains. Obviously, like we said before, throughout the entirety of the game, he is a sophomore. I wouldn't be surprised if next year we see him again, and he's grown up a bit because you saw him today. He was standing in the pocket, getting hit, and not falling back down. I believe Carthage had 5 sacks, or something like that. Something that's insane. Like we said before, it was just a battle of the trenches. But at the end of the day, Carthage ended up coming up clutch.
So again, your final from Kenosha off the lakefront: Carthage 27, Elmhurst 20. On behalf of my broadcast colleague Tylor Sorensen, executive producer Mike Love, producer John Voinovich, Allison, Jeremy Morgan, Laura, Mark, and Natasha. We thank the directors, graphics, replays, and camera operators. For yours truly, I'm Peter Ferreri. This has been a production and presentation of Firebird Broadcast Productions and Carthage College, copyright 2023. Thank you again for joining us, everybody, on this Saturday. 27-20, your final. We'll be right back here next Saturday. Have a good rest of your week, everybody.